Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to SOR headquarters at Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Tonight we head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller comes in with some spooky Christmas stories. And you know, we play Swamp Dweller here every night on this show, and it is so popular. We are so glad to get the man, the myth, and the legend all rolled into one back on right before Christmas. So before we bring in Mr. Swampy, let's say hello to all of you in our chat room tonight. We got Race Fan in the gold medal position. We have Michael Morris taking home the silver with Susie B in the bronze medal tonight. Torments, welcome to SOR chat. Logan L and Samantha Hazelwood Gray, good to see you. Roy Boy, good to have you here. Penny Van, nice to see you. By the way, I am Pam. I am Pam, Penny Van. You are not Pam. I am Pam. Rui from Portugal is here. How are you, buddy? Nice to have you here. Constable D. Cohen, how are you? John Hinoyosa and Ozzy Sue, good to see you. Maggie M10 from Australia, nice to have you here. Brown Dwarf, good to see you. Paramarv and Latro, how you guys doing? Latro, by the way, will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Bigfoot Rob, what color bandana you got on tonight? Please let us know. Hi, Crystal J and Millennium. Good to have you guys here. Robert Lamoth, good to see you. Shiro Sounds, thanks for coming on in. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived. He's ready to swamp out for tonight. Absolutely. Well, I am too. Let's continue on with our roll call. Pixie Lara, nice to have you here. And W. David Page, thanks for coming on in. Mike Bothwell, nice to see you. Esmeralda, thank you for coming on in. And let's see here. There's the Swamp Dweller in the chat room. By the way, Swamp Dweller will be signing autographs after the show as well. Light up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Let's continue on with our roll call. Hi, Monica. How are you tonight? Mr. Catfish, good to see you in early. And who else do we have? Vaughn Patrick, the pride of Edmonton, Alberta, right there. Yep. Kim Stanley, nice to see you. And who else do we have? Penman. There you go. I hope your ink is always wet, my friend. Dim-de-dim, one of my favorite names to say on YouTube. There's our big man, our bodyguard. We call him Super Quest around here. Danny Staten, welcome to SOR Chat. How you doing? And Lily Pond, nice to have you here. Gansfeld Files, how you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight. And Michael Fontaine, good to see you. And who else do we have? Oh, geez, my computer just jumped. Hate it when it does that. Hate it. All right, now I got to re-scroll. Digger Dog, good to have you here. Can't wait to see you in Vegas, my friend. And let's see. Oh, it'd be Tree Fitty, eh? Son of a gun, Tree Fitty. Richard Elmore, nice to have you here. Bobby Farron, don't worry, be happy, my friend. James Fadke, nice to see you. Skip to Malou, nice to have you back. And let's see who else we got here. We have our man Bones and Slappy Hour 9 a.m. Loving the Swamp Dweller. Oh, D-Show, you're back. Why did I ban you, D-Show? Because you keep asking me the same damn question each and every time, and I got sick of it. So now that you're back again, you can hang out. Don't ask the stupid commercial question. You already know the answer. All right, let's start the radio side. So we can let Bill WD-40 on into the chat room and lube us up for tonight's show. Jorgen Johansson, he's starting at left wing tonight wearing Jerry Gillis's old number 21 for the Vancouver Canucks. Candy R, how are you? Colin Ekstrand, how you doing, buddy? And who else do we have here? Kathleen Hughes, nice to see you. And Love V Love, baby boy, good to have you all here. Reminder to all of you, the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Sea Warrior Son, welcome to SOR Chat. And we got 30 seconds before we launch this show tonight. Yeah, once again, the super chat is open. Derek Ning, how you doing? And also, you can do some shopping at our Spaced Out Radio website. Go to our store. We got some great swag there for you that you can wear at any time, young or old, big or small. It's all there for you. Hi, Bill WD-40. Hope you're lubed up for tonight. And we're going to get going here in about 5 seconds. So I need a favor, everyone. Hi, Blue Cruise. Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor and hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by CHIVE Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting CHIVE Charities today. You can find them on our website. It is a power night of spookiness tonight as we head to the swamp early and often. Mr. Swamp Dweller is here to share some of his creepy adventure stories with us tonight. Then in hour number 3, because we're going 2 hours straight with the Swamp Dweller, we are going to have Super Duke come in right off the top for the Cryptid Report, and we will have the news as well. Now, I'll tell you, we have a lot of changes that are always happening. And one thing about radio is you always have to keep fresh and keep the format going. And I think one of the smartest decisions that I made to our format was adding Swamp Dweller. Now, he was first a guest a year and a little bit ago because I had found his channel and the guy just absolutely creeped me out on YouTube, which is youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. He's got over 300,000 subscribers who tune in each and every day to listen to some of his crazy, insane stories that people from around the world deliver to him. Now, Swamp Dweller has been doing this for about 7 years. He never thought it would take off the way it did, but it's become a lifestyle for him now. We're going to learn all about that tonight. Mr. Swamp Dweller, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. And first and foremost, I want to say a big thank you to you for allowing us each Monday through Friday night to be playing one of your spooky stories for our listening audience, my friend.
It's an absolute pleasure, and I'm glad to be here again, Dave. It's always fun to be here with the Spaced Out Radio friends.
It's always a blast to have you here. You know what? This is literally how it goes with Swampy here, people. All of a sudden, I'll get a message on Twitter or on Instagram, and he'll be like, "Hey, Dave, I'd like to come on around this date. Do you have any time for me?" "Yep, I got you." And that's literally how our booking system works with him. It's true. It's true. It's amazing.
I'm pretty spontaneous like that, I guess.
Now, for our audience who has never really heard you before, they may have heard of you through our show. They may have checked you on out, but they don't know the personal side of you. I mean, you have a pretty emotional story on how you started this channel. I mean, you've literally, and pardon the expression rags to riches, but you've literally gone rags to riches with this channel in capturing some of people's most hidden nightmares that they have, my friend.
Yeah, I guess, rags to riches is a good way to put it. Yeah, I mean, when I first started this, I was just like literally everybody else, and, I've just, hoped that I've kept that same air to my personality and to what I do. I'm just a guy who enjoys scary things and spooky things, and I experienced some weird things growing up myself, and, we all go through ups and downs, so I've made the best of it, and, I just feel like I need to stick to that and keep doing that and making it better and better. And, every day is an opportunity to do that. So,
Yeah. Now you're a musician. Are you still in a band?
yeah, but it's more of like a fun thing. It's not really anything serious though.
Oh man. Well, as long as you're rocking out, that's the main thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. But music was a big part of my life for many years before I got into YouTube, and it still is. But it's more of those things that we do for like the joy of it now, instead of being like, I got to be a rock star.
Yeah, but that rock star lifestyle is pretty cool, man.
Oh
It
yeah.
really is. It's a hard work. I think ACDC nailed it big time when they said it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. That is for sure. So I do have to tell you something, Swampy. We have a major, major anniversary here on Spaced Out Radio tonight, and the majority of our audience may not even know. And tonight at 7:45 p.m. Pacific, it was the 11-year anniversary of me seeing the angel of death in my mother's eyes, which culminated years later with the start of Spaced Out Radio in 2014.
Wow, that's a big moment.
Yeah, I will never forget that moment of, looking into my mother's beautiful blue eyes and seeing jet black pupils, or pardon me, where the blue is, it was jet black with white pupils staring back at me. And then as I knew what I was looking at, my mom shook her head like, "Oh, you see me." She shook her head. Her eyes went back blue like nothing had happened. And a few months later, about a year later or so, I actually told her what I saw that night. And it was creepy, my friend. It was creepy because 2 hours later, I ended up channeling the angel of death. I'd had no idea what channeling was. To me, it was like flipping a remote control over to find out what's on the next channel. That's channeling for me. But no, no, no. Apparently, it meant something completely different. And, I'm very glad to have you here on this anniversary night, my friend.
No, I'm glad to be here. That sounds like something straight out of a horror movie.
Or off of Swamp Dweller's channel.
Oh, that too. We can make it. We can make that happen, Dave.
Oh, well, eventually when my book comes out, we'll do that story. How about that?
I'm sorry. What was that? You cut out.
I said eventually when I finally get off my butt to finish my book, we will actually do that story.
Oh yeah, definitely. That would be a great one to add.
Absolutely. My friend, in learning about you with our audience, I mean, you tackle a number of different topics. I wouldn't quite say you're creepy pasta because I know in previous conversations you get literally dozens, if not hundreds of emails a week from people who are having strange experiences, which has really helped build your channel. How did this all get started for you?
Well, about 6 years ago, 7 years ago now, I had a podcast originally, and it was called Swamp Dog Chronicles, and I was interviewing people, much like you do, who were, on shows like Monster Quest, or who were, paranormal investigators or some sort of professional in that field. And eventually I kind of just got bored because I was like, man, I feel like I'm asking the same questions, just reworded differently. And a bunch of people kind of sent me their experiences like anonymously. They didn't want to come on the show, but they still wanted to share their stories with me and let me know that they had an experience that matched the things that I was, interviewing people about. So I decided, why not try to take that format and put it into this other format that I had a friend who was a creepypasta channel, I guess you could say, at the time. And I was like, well, what if I take that format and mix it with this? And kind of that's where the basic format of Swamp Dweller was born, where I was reading stories that were submitted into the channel. And from there just grew to covering everything from Dogman to Bigfoot to creepy ghost stories to people, breaking stories, just everything in between. And now it's just like such an eclectic mix that like you never know what you're gonna get. Any episode could be, one story's somebody broke into my house, the next story's it's a poltergeist, the next story Bigfoot's there. You just never know what you're gonna get. And that's basically the quick short story of how it all started. Just kind of fell into place at the right time.
Now, was this? I know you've always been more of a horror movie type fan. You like getting spooked out. You like getting scared. And a lot of us do. But for you, putting this together, how did you find the right formula that was going to impact your listeners and people to not only create listenership but subscribership as well?
It definitely was trial and error for a while. When I first started, I was not very articulate. I wasn't very good at all, honestly, especially when it came to like the enunciation and not sounding like, I'm coming from the inbred backwoods, even though that's exactly where I was coming from. But it was more of just like once I understood how to, I guess, read clearly and convey what I was reading, it became more of like, what do I find scary and what normally freaks me out. And psychological thrillers and stuff like that were always what I gravitated to, and those things are what freak me out, things that make me think. So that's kind of what I started implementing in the storytelling. Was I want to make people think, I want to make sure the story builds, I want to make sure that you feels like it's happening to you. And that's why I approach every story as if it happened to me as well.
Is there any stories over the years? Because you've done thousands, and it's like when somebody asks me the same question of, who's your favorite guest? What's your favorite moment? Through thousands of interviews that we have done on this show over the last 8 years, it's hard to remember. But are there any real stories that you have come across that just kind of hit you, that was just like, this is too real. This is a little bit too much for me.
Um, Man, that is one of the questions that is like really hard to find like specific stories. But since I've gotten more into like true crime stuff over the past couple of years, I would definitely say like things like the Ridley Creek Jane Doe and just cases where like the way somebody dies is so brutal and it's just like so real because it's like down the street from you and you're like, oh wow, I was just there, stuff like that stick out to me a lot. But mainly also just stories where there's a lot of like, if you can relate to the trauma of the story, and in the sense of like if you've ever had a moment where you've ran into a wildlife or a wild animal, right, and nearly got taken down by a bear. So when you hear a story or start reading a story about something very similar, you're like, oh man, I kind of feel this way, and that I feel like that's kind of.
You kind of cut out there, my friend.
Oh, my bad. I feel like that's kind of what I gravitate toward. Excuse me, tongue tie. That's what I'm gravitating towards is those types of things. And yeah.
For you though, I mean, being a young guy that you are, because Lord knows I'm going to be 50 next year, so I'm like double your age. You sit there and you see everything that comes across your table. I mean, you get fan mail and everything like that. Your listenership. I know my son, who's 9 years old, really digs what you do. You must have listenership, right from the young ages of single digits right up until senior citizens who are like, man, this is just fantastic what you're doing, man.
Definitely. I love seeing that. I try to be mindful of that. There is a wide variety of people who are watching these videos because YouTube, they show me pretty much somewhat accurate numbers of like who's listening in, the demographic and all that. But I can only imagine, how many young people actually do listen to it. And I see a lot of comments where people appreciate, the stories being somewhat clean and stuff like that. But I think it's really cool. I see comments all the time. People like, I listen with my family. We go camping and we listen to these together out by the fire. And I just find that like fascinating because, I never thought that would be a thing, when I first started doing this.
Well, you're making an impact in people's lives. And, no matter what we do, whether it's a show like this or something like you're doing, which is, literally, 150 times more popular than what we're doing right now. The idea behind it is you're getting to people and you're getting people right in the feels. And in the end, that's what we try and do. It's all about, high quality entertainment.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely don't want people to come to my videos or my channels or anything that I produce out there on the internet and be like, I feel like this could have been better. And if they do come across feeling that way, I hope that they come back and the next time they feel like, oh man, he did get better.
You mentioned that you're getting more into true crime recently. This is a hot button topic for a lot of people. Why have you chosen to go down that road?
Um, True crime is something that I've always had like a small section on my channel that I've done, but I just want to help people. I feel like I have a platform, and if I can help people more than just, helping them fall asleep at night or helping them with their anxiety or whatever else it may be that they use my content for, I want to be able to make some sort of difference. And whether that's, bringing somebody's story to life or in front of an audience that might not have heard it before, maybe generating a tip for some sort of local law enforcement, just anything that I can do to, do something more than just making YouTube videos.
Well, I got to tell you, because a number of months ago, and I'm just bringing up the conversation that we were having on Instagram, back in September, my friend, as I tell my audience, I literally listen to you every night before I go to bed. But back in September, around the 9th, I actually had to shut you off at night. And I sent you a message about this, and unfortunately we never had the opportunity to speak about it because you're so busy and I'm so busy. But I figure now is a good time to actually tell you what happened.
Let's go for it.
Well, when I would go to bed, I would listen to your stories, and your stories ended up becoming my dreams, where I was actually living your stories as they went on. And this started with me. And then it started in that same week, started happening to my partner. And both her and I were having your stories at night in dream state come to life.
Wow.
And I don't know what caused this. It doesn't matter what you were talking about, whether it was about Bigfoot or Dogman or Wendigos or aliens or ghosts or forest ranger spooky stories. It was all coming true, like very lucid type dreaming. And it got to the point where it was getting so real that I wasn't sleeping at night because, dude, I would wake up in the middle of the night, and when you wake up in the middle of the night, a lot of times you go to the bathroom or you go grab a drink of water, and you come back to bed and you fall back asleep and you don't go back into that next dream. It was like wake up from the dream, go right in, go to the bathroom or sit up because you're freaked out, or go grab a drink of water, come right back in, fall asleep again, and go right back to that dream where it left off.
Wow, that's bizarre. I don't even know what I would do if I experienced that.
Well, unfortunately, I had to turn you off for a couple of weeks there in order to try and get some sanity back into my sleep. But God's honest truth, man, it started to freak me out. And then when I found out it was happening to my partner as well, that was even more creepy at that as well. Because I mean, I've got the speaker going on my side of the bed, and here we are both listening, and we're both, we weren't in each other's dreams. Okay, we were having separate dreams, but both of them coming to life like lucidly for us.
Wow, that's so interesting, especially that you both were experiencing it like simultaneously. That's hard. That's a hard one to explain.
Oh, dude, I don't know how to explain it. I really don't know how to explain it. I mean, it was to this day, man. Like we're 3 months past. I don't know what to make of it. It was just completely odd. Never had that happen before.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think is maybe it was a maybe more stressful time in your life potentially. I don't know.
No, life is good, man. A month later, I saw Sasquatch in the forest. Life was good.
Shoot, I don't know. Gotta blame Sasquatch though.
No, I'm blaming you. I'm 100% blaming you for freaking me out. That's just the way it is. You don't get off scot free like that for nothing, my friend.
I tried.
Have you ever had anybody else come up to you and say, "Man, your stories have hit me like a book across the head"?
Um, Probably it's honestly a lot of it like runs to a blur because I feel like like I've seen so many people say the same thing. It's hard to remember like the specific times people have said them. But honestly, yeah. Personally, me myself, I'm like a rock, so I have not had these issues. Luckily, I kind of just like when I go to bed, it's like I'm dead to the world, and I wake up the next morning and it's just like, whoa, what happened?
Well, I don't really profess having what happened to me and my partner to happen to anybody else because it honestly, dude, it was freaking creepy. It was freaking creepy, and I mean, literally living the dream and getting chased by swamp dweller monsters in the middle of the night. Yeah,
I guess that's better than
don't.
being chased by me in the middle of the night.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. You do have nice hair. I will say that. You do have a great head of hair, and I don't anymore. So I'm living vicariously through your hair.
Well, we all are at this point, Dave.
We've got about just over 90 seconds to go before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Mr. Swamp Dweller is here with us tonight. I want to ask you before we go to break, outside of true crime, what's your favorite monsters? When you get those emails from people coming in telling you their stories, what emails do you look forward to?
Personally, I love the not deer ones right now. I'm just fascinated with this trend of mutant deer type creatures, whether there's I guess skinwalkers, wendigos, not deer, tall deer, whatever you want to call them these days. I'm just always fascinated with they seem like forest spirits to me, and I've just always been very into that type of idea that you can run out there in the woods and suddenly there's this creature that looks like something we know, but it's not at all acting like that thing we know. And there's just something creepy and familiar about it that I like.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. In the meantime, I woke up on Sunday morning to watch two giant buck deer locking antlers in the snow at my house. I know you don't know what snow is. That's the white stuff that falls on the ground. Being in Florida where you are, I mean, with the swamps, I'm not sure your understanding of snow.
Yeah, yeah, the stuff from Colombia. Yeah.
Sure, coming in on submarines near your closest water park. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, but in regards to the not deer and the more weird stuff, you know, i- are those stories harder to believe than your traditional Bigfoot or Dogman stories?
Depending on like the specifics around them, but I don't think they're harder to believe. I think they're more like with things like chronic wasting disease out there and all these other strange things you see naturally that are occurring with deer. It's not too far fetched to say that somebody might, be misidentifying something.
Right. Swamp Dweller, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are going to come back for the second half hour as we enter the swamp. Our resident Swamp Dweller joins us. We're going to get into some spooky, creepy Christmas stories when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. All right, we are clear.
Great.
Yeah, good start. Hey, I know we got a bunch of your fans in our chat room and listening on in. I just want this may be their first time tuning us in. The reason why we do go to break is we aren't a podcast, we aren't a YouTube show. We're kind of a hybrid between everything, including terrestrial radio, which we have to time out our segments for. So you get to hear the background of what we're talking about, what we're doing here behind the scenes each and every night. And it's really appreciative that you understand, because a lot of people will be like, what's with them stupid breaks at the bottom and top of the hour? Well, we kind of have to, so that way we can distribute this show on radio. So we do appreciate your understanding of that. And like with Swamp Dweller, if you haven't yet, do us a favor, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. And we really do appreciate each and every one of you coming on in and hanging on out with us. So, yeah, you get the behind the scenes look here. Mr. Swampy, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, just cruising.
You're a man of many words.
Some days. I've just been talking a lot the past few days, so my throat's kind of like, please stop.
How's the live streaming going on Twitch for you?
I haven't been doing it recently. Just been having PC issues too. It's like if it's not one thing, it's another for me too. Like on the back end of things too, it's always something breaking. So I'm just like, oh crap.
Oh, I had to go buy a new computer a couple months ago.
Yeah, this one's brand new, and that's why I'm so sad about it. I'm just like, spend all that money, and now I got to go and spend all that money again.
Well, I know that feeling. I'll tell you, the salespeople at Staples saw me coming, man. Holy cow!
They saw you come in, they're like, ching, let's go.
They're like, open up your wallet, fathead gray guy. You know,
they're about to run your pockets. That's what they're about to do.
Oh my goodness!
It's not robbery, but it feels like it.
Oh, you know what the worst part about it was is I waited so I go into Best Buy in my old hometown. I go into Best Buy, and this young kid comes in. He couldn't have, by counting the zits on his face, he couldn't have been more than 16, maybe 17. And a brilliant kid when it comes to computers. And I always try to explain, look, number one, I'm not a computer guy. I don't understand. Number two, this is what I do for a living. I'm a radio show host. I'm a podcaster, YouTuber. With my radio show, this computer will be running my radio side, my podcast side of everything. I just need speed. That's all I need. Don't need anything else. Just give me speed. Give me fast. And he kept going back to, well, for gaming, computer is going to be absolutely great for your video and the pixelation and all that. I said, I don't care. I said, what part of my language are you not listening? I said, I don't speak your computer language. It's like going into a coffee shop at Starbucks and you hear all those people ordering weird drinks that are from a different planet.
Yeah, definitely. I'm the same way though. Like I don't know a ton about computers. I know like the basic, but like when it comes to like all the specifics, I'm just like, I applied my brain to other things in life, and this is not one of those things. So that I get lost. I feel like it's Chinese.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Steve Franchise, we don't have a BC station just yet. So you'll have to listen in on Spotify or iTunes or iHeartRadio or YouTube or whatever. That's where you'll have to listen. Yeah, hard to believe. I can't find a radio station to broadcast this show in BC. Working on it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We've got about 45 seconds here. Hi, Jazzy Small. How you doing?
We got to watch out for that alien campaign to keep Spaced Out Radio out of BC.
Tell me about it. Hey, you want some snow? I got a bunch in my yard right now. It's snowing right now.
I'll take some snow. It'll probably melt moment it gets here, but
We'll put it on some dry ice. How about that?
it works for me.
Oh yeah, man. Come on up, and we'll get you into our Sasquatch area.
Bigfoot
I want to
don't
say
want me around.
big thank you to Mike Atlantis and T. Tui for the super chats tonight. It's a great way to support what we do here on this show. Here comes the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Sharky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go. We're heading to the swamp once again. Our resident swamp dweller joining us for Spooky Story Night here on the Big Show. Now, you're probably used to tuning us in and hearing every third hour of this show kicked off by the Swamp Dweller. Well, tonight he is live with us. Thank you so much, Swampy, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Glad to be here.
All right. It's Christmas time, my friend.
It is.
You got some good stories for us. I know you wanted to bring some spookiness to this.
Oh, definitely. Especially after what I've been learning up in Alaska the past few weeks. Cold areas, some spooky stuff going on around Christmas time.
Oh, bring it, my friend. Bring it.
Alrighty. Recently, I put out this pretty long deep dive video on the Alaskan Triangle area, and I was fascinated to learn something I'd actually never heard of before, which is it's a Black Pyramid in Alaska. Have you heard of this, Dave?
I have. My friend Mike Ricksecker has gone looking for it.
First and foremost, what are your thoughts on this? You probably know more about it than I do, honestly. My understanding is that this is apparently allegedly supposed to be some sort of energy project with the government, and it can power like all of Canada and Alaska if it wanted to, like with its output. And it supposedly was found by a woman that's not very, I guess, accredited for her work. So that's as far as I know for the most part on this.
Yeah, you know what? From what I've been able to hear on this is it's created some sort of portal or something in that area that has allowed weird monsters in, UFOs in. People have been going missing, almost like the Bermuda Triangle in that area. I mean, there is a lot of strange things that are being seen around that. And I know in talking to my good friend author Mike Ricksecker, who is actually on the Alaskan Triangle television show that was on a couple seasons ago. I mean, he was saying, like, you go up there and it's just absolutely freaky because, you know, the terrain is intimidating. The animals are intimidating. Then when you throw in the military side and you throw in the spooky side of everything, it just makes for a real, shiver going down your spine, man.
Oh yeah. One thing that I found very interesting while doing my research for that topic was like the ley lines and the energy vortexes or the vile vortices and all that. I was so fascinated when I was doing this. I was like, I got to talk to Dave because I know Dave's the UFO guy, and he's gonna make this make way more sense than I ever could. What is this like? What are your thoughts on the Ivan T. Sanderson thing with the ley lines and vortexes and such?
Well, I never really believed in them until I moved up to where I live now. And apparently the ley lines of where I live are very attracted to spiritual people, to people who are ET and UFO contactees, to monsters like Bigfoot, Dogman in our area, little people, which I think you need to do more stories on, by the way, is little people. And other weird things that are being seen, man. There's a lot of hauntings around here. So I never really believed in it until I started seeing all the supernatural activity when I moved up here. That is for sure. I do believe there is something to it.
Oh, definitely. It's there's just so much going on, and I think the fact that there is so much going on, whether it's wildlife, whether it's weather, human intervention, or some spooky UFO paranormal stuff going on. I think there's a little bit of everything going on, and those areas seem to have these like very high amounts of energy, whether it be you know, colonization, killing lots of people, or just like these areas that seem to be highly traveled that just have so many high amounts of missing people cases. It's just interesting to me. I think there's more going on than, is documented.
Oh, for sure. So what have you been able to learn about this triangle in Alaska?
Essentially I came away with the same I came away with the same idea as I had when I came into the project, thinking that it was going to be, of course, like an eclectic bag of things that I just mentioned. But the thing that I think I've come with the most at there is definitely something more happening, whether this Black Pyramid exists or not. There's something strange, and I feel like somewhat almost hidden by that Alaskan tundra, since it's like essentially like what 93% unexplored. It's just all untouched. I feel like there's more out there, whether it's Bigfoot, whether alien bases, or even government bases. I feel like there's something going on because anytime you see these areas that have these high numbers of missing people's cases, or missing airplanes and all these things that just go out of nowhere, there's always a reason for it. Like the Bermuda Triangle and other places like that. So I feel like there's something more than they're letting on.
Oh, very true. Very true. I mean, some of the aircraft that have been seen coming out of these triangle type areas, which, for most people, it's a massive, massive area. I mean, you have to wonder, is there a lot of supernatural stuff actually happening up in Alaska? Or is it just because the terrain and the weather are so unpredictable and so, like you said, uncharted, that's the reason why we look to say, well, that plane just vanished, or that hunting uh, group just disappeared. I mean, what do you think that is?
I covered one. There's like a Cessna that went down with some high profile senators and stuff, and they never found it. And even though they've done like extensive searches so many times and they've never been able to figure it out, for me, I feel like if you fall in a crevice and then snow and on top of snow and it's just gone all of a sudden, right? Or it falls into these waters and the waters are so rough, I just feel like these things can be washed away so fast. You would never know, even if it is something like a terrible accident. Let alone, add a UFO that comes in and, zaps you out of existence, or whatever else could have potentially happened there. A very interesting one that I always think of when it comes to the whole UFO Alaska one is I think it was like a Japanese airline cargo plane that was followed by like all these lights, and like it kept getting closer and like maneuvering all around it and popping in and out. And there's a lot of coverage on that one. It's like
Oh
a
yeah,
Boeing 747 or something like
yeah.
that. Fairly
Japanese
interesting thing.
Airlines 1680.
Yeah, it's all fairly recent. It showed up on the radar and everything. That's why I feel like there's something more going on in that area. And I always hear these stories of like ships coming out of the ocean and lights from the ocean. I feel like it all correlates to something. Maybe it is just the government, testing crazy ships or whatever. But like, there's nothing that we know about.
Well, Alaska would be the place to hide it. And I have mentioned to a lot of the UFO people who I've said, hey, when you look at Area 51, it's become such a mainstream place for conspiracy theory that Alaska would be probably the next best area to try and hide some of these secret craft that might be being out there being tested. And the fact is, we'll never know unless the alphabet agencies or the U.S. government actually tells us. But I mean, it is crazy, man. What is truly going on up there?
Definitely. And you have places like Portlock that essentially is just a ghost town now because of it, basically Bigfoot, ravaging this town for so long that they were like, all right, we're out of here. At least that's the story they tell people.
Absolutely. So, out of this triangle that you're hearing, are you hearing more UFOs? Are you hearing more monsters or more disappearances like missing 411 type?
I actually surprisingly found a lot more missing 411 type stuff, but when it comes to between aliens or like cryptids, I found a lot of Bigfoot stuff. There's a lot of Kushtaka stuff. There's I didn't know there were this many variants of like Bigfoot in that one small area. You got like the Nantinak, there's the Tornits, there's all kinds of interesting variations of essentially the same thing. Then obviously you put the Otter Man on top of it, you can't catch a break over there.
Well, you know what I've learned about it, maybe you're hearing this too, is that the more further north you go, these Sasquatch type creatures get massive. Massive. Like we're talking 15 to 20 feet tall. And everything seems bigger up there, whether it's the Kodiak bears, the grizzly bears, the moose, where in my area, a giant moose is about 1,000, 1,200 pounds. They can be an extra 1,000 pounds up north. The wolves are bigger. Everything just seems to be bigger up there, man, and deadlier. I mean, with a lot of these creatures that you're hearing about, are you hearing giant size differences too?
Surprisingly, that's something I didn't notice. They seem to be big, but I feel like Bigfoot's kind of always big. But I'm not surprised because I mean you have less competition. There's so much area to be widespread across in a place like Alaska and especially obviously Canada as well. Um, it just makes sense that they'd be bigger, right? I mean, I expect like when you hear the Otterman stuff, like I was surprised to hear that they're like 10 feet tall. I'm like, really? That'd be terrifying. But yeah, I actually was surprised to not see them being massive, but I would expect them to be probably larger than your average Bigfoot that you'd maybe see in Alabama or Florida.
Okay, you got to get into this otter man stuff.
Um, Otterman or Kushtaka, I'm probably saying that wrong. Everybody's always just saying it wrong, but it's it's basically like a shape-shifting creature, but normally is seen like a bipedal type otter, and normally they're very aggressive and they will drag you to your doom, drown you, kill you, etc.
And those are said to be in Alaska?
Yes.
Do they come through British Columbia?
I believe so. I think there's stories of them in that area. What would you call it? Western Canada.
Yeah, British Columbia. That's a province where I live, man. Because that's just another reason for Dave never to get on a ferry boat.
Oh
So
yeah.
I appreciate that. People out there, you have to understand, the ocean is a dangerous place. It's a scary place. We're not meant to be in the ocean. That's why
Mm-mm.
everything wants to kill you in there.
Oh
You
no.
know,
What's scary about the Kushtaka though is like they have like the cry they're like their noises that they make are like the cries of babies or like screams of a woman, and like it'll lure you to like a river and then it'll just like drag you in and tear you to shreds and all that kind of stuff. It's from like the Yupik in western Alaska. And apparently there's sightings, all the way into Canada, unfortunately for you, Dave.
I'm right there. I am right there. Just a few 100 miles south. Yeah, thanks, Swampy, for not making me want to go into the forest ever again. I appreciate that.
Just avoid the rivers, it's fine.
Well, yeah, I've always that's never really bothered me. The rivers here, except for the Fraser River, which is the big river here, and the most famous, is scary because you can't see a foot into the water. It's so murky.
I
And
think
then and then
I think you should be more worried about the moose, Dave.
right now, yes, the moose and the mountain lions is what I worry about right now.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, you don't want any mountain lions. Those things, they're just angry. They're
Oh,
angry.
I've been lucky. I've seen one once in my life, and I was like probably 100 to 200 yards away from it, and I just slowly backed away because it's like right when we were coming out of like the parking lot into the hiking trail, and it was like right there, and I was like, all right, we're just gonna slowly back to the car and leave, and
Hmm.
that's what I did.
Well, a couple years ago, I got growled at by one in my backyard. It was maybe 40, 50 feet away. I didn't even see it. I just heard it.
Oh man, that's terrifying.
Yeah. And then 2015, I saw one in my neighbor's yard lurking around his storage and garage. And then a few years later, I saw one running across a road from us on a snowy road. So they're out there. They are out there. They are dangerous, and, when we think of big cats, there are so many different types of creatures that we go through. I mean, how come we never hear any stories of giant cats like, lions or tigers running around the US, murdering people, considering that down there, a lot of people have let their what used to be pets go into the wild, man.
They're definitely few and far between, but I have read quite a few stories of like, like animals getting loose or exotic pets running wild and alleged encounters with like the big black cats in the UK. I've been sent a few stories like that, and people seeing leopard type creatures in the southeast of America and stuff like that. But they're very few and far between, and you think you'd see them more, but maybe we're just not looking in the right places.
Well, you know what? I mean, I've heard the stories of tigers and lions being seen in the wilderness. People out for a jog or people driving in their car, and all of a sudden they'll see a tiger, and that's a former pet that's either escaped or been let go. I'm just surprised that one of these giant cats hasn't come up on somebody like a hiker or a cyclist or even an ATV and attacked them to kill them. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Oh yeah, me too. I mean, I've read a story of somebody allegedly seeing a tiger when they were out mountain biking, and honestly, I don't know. Those are like one of the top apex predators on the planet. I don't know what I would do if I saw that. Probably just lay down.
All right, let's get back into the topic here of Christmas here, my friend. What is your favorite spooky Christmas story?
Probably the one of the first. I think this might have been the first or second year I ever was on YouTube. I did a Christmas special, and it's like a Christmas tree killer. And there's this family that goes out to a Christmas tree farm. It's dark out. They're looking for a nice tree. They have their axe. They're walking up and down the aisles. They find one they like that's more towards the back, and they start chopping it down. But suddenly this man comes up on them, and he's acting like he's hurt, and he has like look like dry blood on him or blood all over him. And the family's like, oh my gosh, what happened? He says, when I was chopping down my tree, I accidentally hit myself with the axe, something along these lines. And he's asking for help, and while he's distracting them, there's another person behind them with a gun, and he comes up on them and ties them up and all that. Essentially, he assaults the mom in front of the family, shoots the two kids, and I guess somehow the dad escapes with his life, and they call the police, and they eventually catch them, etc. And that's just one that sticks out to me, just because of how like brutal it was. And then I found out that it was actually like a 100% legitimate story. And when I read the newspaper clippings, I was like, oh gosh. I was like, Merry Christmas.
No kidding. No kidding. Hey, I'm going to ask you, when you put up, because you post your stories almost every day, how much research goes into one of those 25, 35-minute story clips that you do?
They go up on a almost daily basis, but most of the time the stories are vetted usually days to weeks ahead of time. So I have already kind of gone into them and made sure things are legitimate if they're claimed to be legitimate and all that good stuff. But it could be anywhere between like a couple hours to a couple days of time into that particular aspect.
Oh my goodness. And you don't have a team. It's just you.
When it comes to that part, yeah, for sure.
Holy cow. I don't know how you do it, my friend. I don't know how you pump up that much content with that much research just to do that on a daily basis. Because I know the one thing that I learned about you over time is you're not a creepy pasta kind of guy, and you've never said you're creepy pasta, which for people who want to know, creepy pasta is more fake type stories that people just write out of their imagination. You're more about getting to the reality of the stories from your audience. So I mean, that adds a lot more pressure to what you're doing than say some of the other channels out there.
Yeah, definitely. Like like I've said in the past, I've kind of dipped my toes in the creepypasta world too. I kind of do a little bit of all of it, but at this point, I would say you could probably primarily put me into like I don't really like being put into like a particular thing, like a true scary story thing, but like I'm kind of like I like the word reality. Like, because I feel like more of a reality channel. I cover like the reality of what's happening. This is what people are claiming is happening to them, on top of things that are, true and can be verified.
No, and I can understand that. With 2 minutes to go here before we got to take a break here at the top of the hour, Swamp Dweller is our guest tonight. Are there any, stories that you have heard over the years, and I'm sure you've heard thousands of creatures where you're like, yeah, no, there's no way that's real.
There have been quite a few, like, what do you even call them, like homunculus type sounding creatures, where it's just like they have like the head of this creature, the arm of that creature, the left leg of this creature, and you're just like, wait, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. I'd probably say one that stands out is a couple months ago, somebody they claimed they saw a Gryffindor. What do you call those creatures?
Yeah.
I don't remember what the exact name for it, but it just kind of threw me through a loop because I had to like Google it because I haven't seen that word in so long. And I was like, oh, it's one of these things. It's got like a lion head and like a horse body and like wings. And I was like, oh, I was like, all right, I don't know if we're gonna put this one on the channel.
Right. I mean, being the fact that you vet, I mean, you don't want your channel getting stupid, by the way. You know what I'm saying? You want credibility to be there.
Definitely. Normally, like if I like the story, I'll share it, but I don't want it to. If I'm reading the story and I'm like, oh wow, that was kind of dumb, I can imagine like what you, the listener, is gonna feel too.
Right. And what is captivating with 30 seconds to go? What is captivating your listeners right now?
I would probably just say that they don't know what they're gonna get. Every story is normally just like entirely different, even though it fits the theme. It can be, a camping story. The next one might be, some sort of paranormal story, etc.
Yeah. Any good paranormal stories that you can share with us the next half hour?
Oh yeah, I've got plenty.
Excellent. I can't wait. Mr. Swampy, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, my friend, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. When we return, more Swamp Dweller stories coming up for us. And of course, we always got to get our update on the hunters with a capital H. Spaced Out Radio with the Swamp Dweller continues, and spooky stories is the topic for tonight. Hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. This is a lot of fun every time we got the Swamp Dweller on this show. We'll be right back with more Spaced Out Radio in Hour 2. All right, we're clear, my friend.
Great.
Slappy here would like to know, how do we submit a story?
You can send it in at swampdweller.net, or you can go to Reddit at r/thedarkswamp. And to be well written out, just as long as it's legible, I guess. I can do most of the work, but it's the worse it is, the longer it takes me to get to it.
Gotcha. All right, buddy, I'm going to put you on hold here because I'm going to step away for just a couple of seconds here. Everybody just stay tuned. Swampy and I will be right back. Swampy, I'm just going to put you back in the green room. We'll be right back. All right. I am back. Swampy, I just got freaked out.
Uh,
I went outside to see how much more snow had fallen, and I see something move out of the corner of my eye. And my dog, Doug, who's the color of a cougar, starts walking towards me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I just was talking cougar with Swamp Dweller. I'm like freaked out right now.
oh man,
Scared the hell out of me. And it was my dog.
good old Doug.
Good old Doug, yeah.
Good
Scared the
old Doug.
daylights out of me.
That's I think that's what I should answer for the captivating question. Recently, when I've been doing videos, I've been appearing on screen, and my dog, he's like attached to me. So like both of my dogs are. So like they're normally on my couch behind me, and you can just see them kind of cuddling up under the covers, watching me do my thing. And it's constantly all you see in the comments now is the dog. It's a dog. What's that behind you, Swamp Dweller?
Perfect. We got about 30 seconds to go here. I want to say a big thank you to Thomas, T2E, Atlantis, and Mike for the amazing super chats tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show every night around here. Thank you so much for the love. Hey, Tokeland. Oh, hey, Clam. How you doing? And yes, I did have to change my pants. Penny Van. So now I'm all clean. All right. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do. And don't forget, you can also check out all of our swag by going to spacedoutradio.com and clicking on our store. We got some really cool stuff there for you. Here comes hour number 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. And on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Haslock. Haslock is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the next hour, we're heading into the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller, who joins us usually in the third hour of every show, is actually here tonight as our guest, talking about all things spooky and creepy around his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. And it's always a pleasure, Swampy, to have you back on the show.
Glad to be here, Dave.
All right, let's get to it. I mean, your favorite topic right now over the last few months has been these not deer. And explain to our audience what these are.
So essentially, it's kind of a vague term, but it's more just kind of encompassing all these strange and weird variations you see of deer in all of these quote-unquote skinwalker encounters. So instead of just calling everything a skinwalker, I feel like this not deer term kind of came into place to kind of help, filter it out a bit and stop, just using, one term for everything. So a lot of times you'll see, not deer, tall deer, off deer. It's just weird. There's all kinds of terms people are calling them, but essentially they're just, these deer-like creatures that people are running up on. And normally they're very tall. They're bipedal. They have decaying flesh a lot of the time. They mimic voices. They chase you down. A lot of times they have bloody teeth or razor sharp fangs. That's about the gist of it.
So what are some of these stories you've received about these creatures?
A lot of them kind of seem to fit a format almost, in a sense of like a lot of times it's people who are hiking or camping or, of course, hunting. They're a lot of times, one that I like that I just read the other day was this guy is sitting in his hunting blind. He's been going to this spot for years and years as a part of his hunting club. There's an old timer that used to get big 10-point bucks here, and swears by it, even though for the past couple of years there's been nothing here but small dough and whatnot. And he just feels like this year is going to be the year that he's going to catch this big 10-pointer that he's been looking for. And he gets up there bright and early. He's sitting up there and he notices a massive set of antlers show up. And as it gets closer and closer, he notices that there's something off about this deer. It's not quite walking normal. It looks like it's almost stumbling as if it was drunk or something like that, or if it just got hit by a car. If you've ever seen a deer kind of run off in that weird, awkward kind of like, like, oh my gosh, I just got, absolutely smashed. And he notices that everything suddenly goes quiet. There was plenty of noises, plenty of birds, all the beautiful sounds of the woods, and now everything is absolutely silent. So he starts looking at this deer through the scope of his gun, trying to zoom in as much as he can to try to get more details of this thing, and he notices that suddenly it snaps his head and seems to be looking straight at him. This thing stands up all of a sudden on its hind legs and starts screeching like somewhere between like a demonic like screech from like a movie like The Conjuring and maybe like some sort of like a woman being murdered. And it starts running full sprint up this straight incline up this hill directly towards him, screaming the entire time with its mouth opening wider and wider like it's gonna rip off its hinges at any moment. And eventually these screams are turning into almost like demonic donkey noises. And he takes a shot, hits this thing 2 or 3 times directly in the chest, and it falls. He takes this moment to jump out of his thing to get to his ATV and try to get back to his truck and get out of there. He is tearing it down this trail, and this thing is suddenly back up and hauling right back after him. This thing somehow is basically catching up to him, grabbing at him, snatches the backpack off of his back. He luckily somehow gets into his truck and drives away. But when he comes back weeks later with a bunch of people to come, show this scene, he finds that everything looks completely normal. Nothing is torn up, and his backpack is perfectly and nicely hung up right there at the bottom of his hunter's blind.
Oh my goodness. How do you go back to that hunter's blind right after that?
Honestly, I would never go back there. You can keep the backpack. I don't care, man.
No.
It says now.
No, I would totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. It reminds me, did you ever hear that hunting story of the Air Force pilot? I believe it actually happened down in Florida, where he was sitting up in a deer blind waiting for some hogs that he had trying to bait in there, and the hogs come in, start eating the corn on the ground, and all of a sudden as he's lining up through his scope, he sees something out of the corner of his scope kind of move, and at first he thought it was another hunter who was sneaking up, maybe wearing a ghillie suit, and all of a sudden this giant Sasquatch jumps out from behind the tree, grabs the biggest hog, whips the hog up, or grabs the biggest hog, whips it, nailing the back of its head to a tree, killing it instantly, throws it over its shoulder, and it looks up at the blind to the hunter and roars at him, and then walks off with the pig. But that wasn't just the scary part. The scary part was that there was another Sasquatch behind this guy in the tree, and it roared back. This hunter was in that tree for another 6 to 8 hours before he finally had the courage to get down and get the hell out of there, and he's never been back there since.
Oh man, I wouldn't have waited 6 hours. I would have been gone in 6 minutes, but that's terrifying.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. Are there any stories that you have received over the years, or more recently, because the recent ones are more easy to track, that have really put shivers down your spine?
Oh, definitely. There is one where somebody was hunting, just like we just talked about, and instead of it being a cryptid or a monster, as this guy he's walking down this hunting trail, another I don't know if you'd call them a hunter, but some other person drops out of a tree on top of this guy, and like is trying to stab him. And luckily he had a thick jacket because it was cold, and it was able to block the knife and all that. And I don't know, that just gave me chills because it really does. It really is people that is the monster that you have to be most worried about most of the time, even out in nature.
Oh, very true. Very true. I mean, okay, so let's turn the corner here because you also do pieces about missing people like David Paulides' Missing 411. Do you think a lot of these people that are going missing via other people? Or do you think that something nefarious or supernatural is happening?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a mix of both. I put out this really long Yosemite deep dive that covers basically every spooky thing that's ever happened in the park, from whether it's paranormal or missing people. And it does seem like a lot of missing people cases could be, uh, especially in Yosemite, where that's the most missing people out of all parks. You have like obviously Henry Lee Lucas, or the Confession Killer he's known as. You've got the Yosemite Park Killer that was there. You've just got so many different things. There was the freaking the cult that was there, where the cult leader was linked to a lot of missing people. Golden State Killer was around the area. You even got the Night Stalker. It just, there's definitely a good amount of those disappearances that can be linked to people doing nefarious and very sinister things. But then there's obviously a lot of them like Stacey Harris and Michael Fissery and stuff like that, who just go missing out of nowhere, and it makes no sense. They're there and then they're not.
So do you think they're being taken by UFOs, by cryptids, or are they walking into a different dimension and don't even know that they've left this timeline?
And that's a hard one. Personally, I feel like what might be the most, like, if I'm gonna get, and I don't normally do this, but if I'm gonna go out of left field at all, I would personally feel like it might be like interdimensional type things, like maybe like falling into a portal, or a gate, or whatever you would call it, and you're going into a different timeline or whatever. It just doesn't make any sense how like somebody can be there. You can go over the same area hundreds of times and just never find any trace of them. I don't know. It's almost like they went somewhere else.
Dude, I am in the exact same category as what you are. I really do believe that there is something serious going on. And, I mean, you hear these people in these stories, whether it's on your channel or whether it's through David Paulides, where, people are hearing their loved ones yelling for them, and they can't see them. They can't hear them, or they could hear them, but they can't see them. And yet they're on the same trail, allegedly maybe 15, 20 feet apart. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the amount of times that people are sitting there waiting, say, per se, for 5-10 minutes, and they come, and then like a group comes back, and suddenly they're gone, but their dog or their other companion is still there, and then you never find any trace of them. It's just so it just makes no sense to me. There has to be something happening.
Oh, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I mean, I look at and I've said this on this show a number of times. I mean, you look at people who go missing even in cities where, I mean, we've all been out. I'm gonna focus on the guys here for a second. We've all been out on that guys' night out where all of a sudden, you got one buddy who's like, "Hey, I'm just gonna duck down this alley and go to the bathroom," and ducks in behind a garbage can, and the next thing you know, that person's gone, and they're only like 20, 30 feet away from you, and you haven't heard any ruckus, you haven't heard any commotion, you haven't heard any type of violence or anything. They're just vanished. Like, where do these people go, man?
Sometimes, it makes sense that maybe they're falling into crevices and we're just not seeing it. But I just feel like that can't be that. It just happens too much for that to be the case every time. And, it makes more sense when people, you obviously bring up the argument that, it could be wild animals sometimes, it could be this other times. And then, you slowly start to forget about that strange itch in the back of your head. But I always come back to it. It's like some of these cases just seem like they up and just completely dissipate into thin air.
I know, it's unbelievable. I love your stories on the forest rangers. I believe, if I'm correct, you were a forest ranger for a short period of time. But these stories that you get from forest rangers, man, these are just eerie. Absolutely eerie. What's a story that really sticks out in your mind?
A good story is the Ridley Creek Jane Doe one that I just recently did. Is just just being a park ranger, you're doing your normal rounds, and park ranger is a very vague term. I think a lot of people don't understand is that like there are like a park ranger does so many different things, especially depending on like what type of park you're at. If you're at a national park, a state park, a provincial park, etc. Like it depends on what location you're at, what the laws are, etc. So some like national park rangers normally will be carrying a gun or something like that, and a lot of other people will be doing some much more mundane things like cleaning up trash around the park. You're just going to your spots, cleaning up trash, making sure the campers have everything they need, and you come upon a dead body, and you can't identify this person, and you never identify this person. That's something that just kind of sticks out to my mind recently, is just like on a conscience level. It's just more of like, how can you, like, I would wonder what type of psychological horror that holds on somebody, being somebody that's obviously never found a dead body, and then never being able to bring the closure to the people who may be missing that person. But another good story is this park ranger locally recently actually claims they saw something that I've not really heard much about in my life, which is something like an alligator man, in the Hillsborough State Park, over not too terribly far from where I shot some documentaries a couple years ago. And he was out there early in the morning opening up all the stuff ready for people to do like kayak rentals and stuff. And he claims he saw what looked to be like a maybe 6.5 foot tall alligator walking on its hind legs. And it had a physique that was similar to a man rather than an alligator, as if it were just walking up on its hind legs. It said it looked more bipedal and humanoid. And that's had me thinking recently is what's that about? Like, is this like a lizard man type thing? Is this a reptilian type thing? Or are we now going to start having these crazy shape-shifting alligator man type things?
Oh, that's exactly what we need coming out of the swamp right there, eh? That's
Yeah,
exactly what we need.
that's what it
I
sounds
mean,
like.
that's just crazy. I mean, I've heard of strange things like that. I mean, Connor Flynn, who's a Sasquatch investigator out in Florida. We got to get you and him together because he goes looking for all of this stuff down in the Everglades and in the swamps there. And I believe he brought up Alligator Man and the story of Alligator Man here as well a few months ago. I don't know if he's had an encounter with it, but I know he's heard about that story.
Oh, definitely. I'd love to get together with Connor and do some fun stuff out there in the swamp. The alligator man is something I've heard of before, but it's one of those things where like, one person claims to have seen it one time this, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and it's not really like anything that's super revered, but like it's there. And then suddenly now you get random things like, 50 years later, they're like, "Oh, this is what I saw." But it's hard to, obviously know because there's not too much info behind it rather than somebody just saying, "Hey, I saw this one thing." And eyewitness testimony is typically not the most reliable when it comes to trying to prove a case.
Very true. Hey, out of all the stories that you get, are a lot of them from the past or are a lot of them very current?
Recently, I feel like they've been much more current, but I feel like it's kind of been 50-50 most years. Like I get a lot of stuff that are older, but older in the sense of like I guess pre 2000s. I get a lot of 80s stuff and a lot of 90s stuff, but I haven't gotten anything much older than that in quite a bit. Most of it seems to be like early 2000s to 2010s at this
Right.
moment.
Because it's hard to track down those stories that are older. It really is, and I think we at times forget that a lot of people at times are afraid to come forward due to ridicule or people thinking they're screwy or whatever it may be. I mean, that has to be a hard one for a lot of people who come to you in order to give you a good story.
Oh yeah, definitely. And when it comes to like a cryptid encounter or a paranormal story, those ones I have to approach more with a grain of salt because it's going to be harder to verify and prove a lot of that type of stuff. But I love seeing those older ones too. I feel like those historical type, encounters, especially like pre 80s, like 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, like Bigfoot encounters fascinate me just because I feel like they really were chasing monsters back then. And these days you're seeing people chase more of facts. They want to know, like, what is Bigfoot? Is Bigfoot a thing? And if Bigfoot is a thing, what exactly is it? Because back then their stories are always centered around like the biggest, like we have like the biggest footprint possible. This footprint was so big you could fit a city inside of it. And it was just like, and now it's slowly, I feel like the footprint shrunk and Bigfoot became a bit more human in a sense and a bit more obtainable. And I feel like people were looking more for answers rather than a monster. But I just love those like historical ones. It's just so interesting to see what what the early signs of Bigfoot were and how they were coming to terms with, what this creature was.
I got to ask you with 3 minutes to go here. Okay. Sam White Owl. I ask you this every time you're on. Okay. I love this gentleman who's a cryptid hunter, a hunter with a capital H. And trust me, now every time I say hunter, I say hunter with a capital H now. Thank you to you, Swamp Dweller. Okay. But I got to ask, I mean, if this guy is real and telling you the truth about his stories, why hasn't he come out public about this hunting group? Because I'm telling you, his stories, I can sit there and listen to him for about, I think one of your recordings is like 6 to 8 hours of his stories. And I could sit there and listen to the whole damn thing. I really can.
Oh yeah, we just put out a 12-hour compilation of it a couple months ago. Honestly, I feel like it would make sense to not expose that, as then it just kind of destroys the entire legacy and business that you yourself have been a part of for your whole life. And I don't think his goal at all is to necessarily expose or, I guess, bring public to what they're doing in specific. But I do think the goal is to definitely educate and bring more knowledge to these cryptids that most people probably would have never heard about. Most people probably live their whole lives hearing about Dogman or Bigfoot or the Skinwalker, maybe the Wendigo if they're feeling spicy. But they probably never would have heard of an Amelatuca or something like that. They probably never would have heard of a Zabrak or anything like that. They probably would have never have known about these crazy and very interesting cryptid and folklores from all across the world if it wasn't for this series. And I feel like that was the main goal more than anything. And if it is real, I guess we got more problems to worry about than that part.
Son of a gun. I tell you, that series has me fully captivated, and whatever it may be, I don't know. I'm believing it's real, okay? Because I do think there are enough monsters out there to have a private group. And what I've learned through the whole UFO thing, man, is I don't discount anything anymore. You can't. You really can't with all the cover-ups and conspiracies that go around with it. But I got to tell you, man, he is captivating. He is interesting. And the descriptions that he uses scares the daylights out of me. And I keep listening and wanting more. I need more.
We definitely have good news with that. We got more cryptid hunter stuff coming. It's not going to be specifically from Sam, but it's going to be the same organization. And I've gotten in touch with very interesting people. So we're going to be seeing a lot more content coming from that world.
Son of a gun, you're keeping me on my heads and toenails, man. I'm pumped right up for it. Pumped right up. Swampy, we got you for another half an hour here on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to get into more monster talk with our resident swamp dweller. You go hit subscribe on his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. Check it on out. You won't be disappointed. We continue from the swamp right after this on Spaced Out Radio. We are clear, man. Goddamn Sam White Owl scares the shit out of me. Oh, I love him.
Good
Love 'em.
stuff. I miss doing
Oh,
those stories. I miss reading them. I miss just being excited when that letter comes in. I'm like, oh snap, it's that time again.
Oh man. I want that job. I'm not gonna lie. I want that job.
You can have it. You can have it, Dave. Sounds very painful.
Yes, it does.
A lot of
Yes,
broken
it
ribs.
does. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. If I was younger, I mean, talk about a dream job. What do you do for a living? Oh, I go hunt monsters.
Yeah, right. The inner child of me would be super stoked, but
Oh, son of a gun, yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It would just be a blast. Just be a blast. So you all ready for Christmas there, Swampy?
I'm ready. I'm ready to I'm ready for New Year, honestly, because holidays are always the most busy time of year for me. So I'm ready for New Year to come so I can relax and go and enjoy the nature, because I'm gonna go spend some time out in my favorite nature areas across the country, and maybe hopefully after I'm recharged, I'll make my way to Las Vegas with the Spaced Out crew.
Oh yeah, we definitely need you there. We definitely need you there, and joining us for that absolutely great event, our second annual fan party at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas, May 19th through 21st. And we got a lot of cool things planned, man. A lot of cool things planned. And, it's a little bit for everybody. I don't want people thinking, well, it's in Vegas, so it's a big drunk fest or gambling fest. That's not it at all. It's a centralized location for all of us to kind of get together and and hang out and talk about the weird stuff that we love.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been meaning to do a Swamp Dweller meetup type thing, so maybe we'll collab that or something and make it a bigger
dude,
thing.
that'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah, if you want to do that, I'd totally be game for that. We could simulcast it on the YouTube channels. That would be
why
cool.
not? Why not? We'll have a good time. It'll be fun. We'll figure something out. I definitely
sure.
want to try to make it out there at the very least.
Oh, absolutely. If that's something you want to do with your listeners, I mean, I have no problem with that whatsoever, man. No problem.
We'll come in and we'll win the ugly sweater contest.
Well, you got to compete with Tim Senor and Terry Hall, two big members of my team who wear a lot of 1980s Bob Saget sweaters.
Some questionable sweaters is what you're saying here.
Oh yeah,
questionable fashion choice.
Definitely. Middle of summer, and here they are in Bob Saget sweaters, looking like Bill Cosby from the Cosby Show back in the day where everybody had the sweaters on.
To be fair, I wear like hoodies in 90-degree weather in Florida year round, so I can't really talk much.
Yeah, but you're like $110. You got no fat on you to like I do to keep you warm. I can understand that. Me, I wear hoodies in the summertime just to keep the mosquitoes away.
Honestly, that's entirely why I wear them. Just because like those mosquitoes are so bad, and I'm tired of being covered in bug bites all the time, to be honest. So I'm just like, man, I'm just gonna be wearing my hoodie. I'm fine, and I wear the hoodie in the gym so other people don't feel bad.
Well, you know what? I've
that's what I tell myself.
That's what I'm trying to tell myself too, as I head back to the gym on Thursday. Just keep pushing, Dave. Just keep pushing. You know,
Just gotta keep going as long as you feel good, right?
Well, yeah. My body's debating again. Does this feel good? Does this feel necessary? You know,
The soreness sucks, man. I tell you, but I feel like overall, it's normally worth it.
Hey, wait till you hit your late 40s, man, and because I'll tell you right now, it sucks in your 40s. The gym really sucks in your 40s.
Oh, I bet. I'm excited. I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm trying to make it to my 90s, man. Let's go.
You'll do it. I have a feeling I'm capping out at 85, but that's okay. I still got 35 years to go. Hey, hold on 1 second here. Thank you to Thomas, T2E, Atlantis, and Mike for the super chats. We very much appreciate the love. If you want more information on Vegas, go to our website, spacedoutradio.com. Here we go, everyone. Past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Sharky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with our good friend Swamp Dweller. You hear him usually here to kick off the third hour of every show here on Spaced Out Radio, Monday through Friday night. But tonight, he's our guest, coming on in, talking all things creepy and strange. And yes, we say thank you to Swamp Dweller for coming on in. You could go subscribe to his YouTube channel at youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads, where literally there are thousands of stories for you to choose from. Swampy, appreciate you coming on back.
Glad to be here, Dave. It's an honor.
It's an honor to have you here. You know, you deal mostly in monsters, okay? And we've talked a little bit about the knot deer and the Wendigo and the skinwalkers, which are some of your favorites, but there's the traditional Dogman and Bigfoot. What are some of these other creatures that you have learned from people who've emailed you and said they've had some absolutely weird encounters with creatures we've never heard of?
One that's recent that was sent in to me that I've never heard of before was something called the Vermillion Monster, or the Vermillion Lake Monster, and it's kind of similar in description as a dogman, but apparently it lives within the water and comes out of the water. So it's like a water aquatic dogman type description, but its hands are almost like that of like if you would imagine like the giant sloth's hands would be, with these big curved nail-like claws and these webbed feet. And that was one that kind of threw me through a loop recently. That was kind of creepy. I definitely want to try to learn more about this.
So what was the situation around this creature? What happened there?
So apparently these people were hiking around Lake Vermillion looking for a good spot to set up, not camp, but I guess like set up their little setup for fishing. And they were going to try to catch some fish, cook them up, have a good night, and sleep under the stars. They were doing that for quite some time, and apparently as it was starting to get dark, they noticed that there was a lot of heavy splashing noises, and sounded like somebody was like, either stomping or throwing like heavy rocks into the water. But they noticed it was coming from a distance to where like it was like more towards the center of the lake, so it wouldn't make any sense that anybody could do that out there because it would be deep. And it would be way too far for anybody to throw rocks. They happened to eventually notice that it almost like those those movies, if you've seen like a creature rising slowly from the muck or the swamp or the water, this thing slowly starts climbing out of the water taller and taller, and they noticed that they thought it was like plants or something on top of this thing's head, but they noticed this thing's hair. It's like wiry, it's like gray and beigeish. It almost looks like matted. It's very patchy, and it has like this snout that's very almost what's the word, hyena like. And it was snarling the entire time, but they wanted to describe it almost like a smile, and it was getting closer, and the closer it got, once it got on land, they said the smile was getting bigger and bigger, and it started almost making, it was like a hyperventilating sound, but almost like a laughter as well. And it started getting closer and closer. And the moment that it was probably about 100 feet away from them, they just booked it back to their car. Luckily, it got inside and drove away. And as they drove away, they looked back, and in the shine of their headlights, they could see this thing's eyes. It was like right on their tail, chasing them, and eventually disappeared. And they don't know how long it actually followed them. But it sounds like something that's absolutely from a Goosebumps book.
No kidding. Holy cow! I mean, those strands of hair. I mean, that almost sounds like an animal with some sort of mange or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that it came from the middle of the lake, so it could either hold its breath for a long time or potentially even lives in the water, either semi part of the time or maybe full time, and can also go on land and be incredibly fast, even with webbed feet and weird sloth-like claws. It's very interesting.
Absolutely. Getting out of the water, because the water scares the daylights out of me. It really does. I'm not good with water. Uh, The land creatures that you are hearing of, I mean, they are they are so profound if you just pay attention to what's going on. If we just focus on North America here for a second, but are there any creatures, whether it's puckwudgies or Gugway or green men, green lizard men, or anything like that that have caught your attention?
Yeah, I mean there have been a few, but the stories are few and far between for a lot of things when it comes in the realm of like little people or gugways and stuff like that. But they have come across my channel a few times, and they do catch my attention because they seem to be a bit more aggressive, and they usually seem to be a bit more nefarious with like I don't know if they're territorial, I don't know if it's they have bad intentions, or if they just don't like people because of what we represent in the sense of danger or something like that. But I don't know, it's I feel like they're more aggressive, and the stories are always more exciting because of that.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I mean, a lot of these creatures, when we hear or talk about Sasquatch, you know, especially Sasquatch, we tend to, at least on the West Coast here, learn more about them being very, shy and very, very, dubious in their actions regarding, getting the hell out of the way as quickly as possible. But a lot of the creatures that you are dealing with, that you're getting reports on, they seem a lot more violent, a lot more angry, in order to try and, rip someone's head off or chase people down. Is it territory where that's happening, or is it something that is just, you know, the situation of it all?
I feel like it's almost situational. There have been many cases where people send in stories and they stumble upon something, and it almost seems like they surprise it. And instead of it being more aggressive in the sense of like, I'm trying to eat you or hunt you, it's more of like a defensive, like, oh, get away from me, or I'm trying to get away from you. But there's also that overwhelming majority where it seems like these things are actively seeking, uh, things that don't necessarily belong in the woods, let's say like a hunter or a camp or something that seems out of the ordinary. It almost seems territorial to the sense that most of the time when they seem super aggressive, especially when they're, surrounding a camp, making noises, trying to lure you away, it almost seems like they don't like the pollution of what campers kind of bring. And that is essentially why these creatures are so aggressive in that manner. But I mean, they could also just be hunting because that is an easy, source of prey.
I got to ask you, is it more campers or hunters that are experiencing things?
I would just say outdoorsmen in general, because I feel like it's kind of the same. You could flip the coin and you'll get the same experiences from either walk of life, whether it's hiking or hunting or, whatever else you're doing out there. Essentially, everybody's seen or experienced something crazy if they spend any, considerable amount outdoors.
I want to go to Jules' question here for you. What makes a cryptid a monster?
Um, I would just say the unknown aspect of it. We fear nothing more than the unknown, and what's unknown generally is categorized as a monster or the boogeyman. And I feel like the less we know about a particular cryptid, the more monstrous they typically are.
Right. Now, with that being said, do monsters come in waves? Say, for instance, do you get a big wave of Wendigos and then a big wave of Bigfoot and then maybe a big wave of black-eyed children? How does it work?
Definitely, there are waves, especially when it comes to pop culture. Like if like when that Antlers movie came out a couple months ago, there was a ton of Skinwalker and Wendigo stories being sent in all of a sudden. But it stays fairly consistent for a lot of those popular topics when it comes to like Skinwalkers or Bigfoot or Dogman or something like that. Those ones always stay fairly consistent, and it seems almost year round. And a lot of the times, like I said earlier, they're fairly recent, if not, almost yesterday.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, somebody hears a story and all of a sudden it's almost like a trigger for more people to finally open up to you about what they've seen.
Definitely, there's definitely a bit of that, and then of course we have to recognize the placebo effect in the sense, like if somebody sees a horror movie and suddenly everything they see outside, it could just be a normal deer, but suddenly it's a skinwalker. And I've been sent probably many dozens, if not hundreds, of stories of where I was outside and I saw this deer and it was a skinwalker. Probably more times than I can count. So it's definitely a mixed bag of a little of all kinds of things.
Do you, let's go to Sally's question here. I'll get to it here momentarily when I catch up in the chat room. There it is. So, are cryptid extra dimensionals in physical form, in your opinion, Swamp?
I feel like some of them definitely have to be, right? I mean, when you hear the description and the behavior and then the experiences that people have with some of these creatures that just seem to snap out of existence at literally just like a second's notice, it almost seems like they would have to be some sort of interdimensional, um, some sort of, traveling being, right?
Very true. Very true. I think they are. I think they are. I mean, I learned from Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio, and he has a theory that with Sasquatch, the reason why we only usually ever find one print is because they're walking in between dimensions.
I mean, makes sense to me.
Makes total sense to me. When's the last time you had a good black-eyed kid story?
It's definitely been some time, but the last one that I remember being sent was probably at least 8, maybe 10 months ago, and it was a couple hiking in the woods, and these kids kinda come out of nowhere, and they're very deep. I think this is Mount Shasta, and very deep into the woods, and, they come out, they're asking for help. They say, like, one of the smaller brother has, like, a cut on his knee, and, it looks like it's bleeding, but the blood has been dried, and it's been there for quite some time, so they assume that they've been walking for a while, and, they keep asking to use the phone, but obviously there's not gonna be any cell service out there, and, at the time, this was, like, the early 2000s, I wanna say, and, so, like, cell phones were they were around, but they weren't what they are now, and, so the service was even more lackluster, and, they just wouldn't let up, even though there's no service. They, for some reason, needed to go through this sort of routine of being given permission to use this phone so they could continue to do whatever they were doing, apparently. Eventually, once they finally relented and said, fine, you can see my phone, they picked it up, and apparently they dialed 911, put it to their face, and the smallest boy started screaming, and like his eyes went entirely black, and then the older brother just like completely disappears. And this freaks them out so much that they just completely, the two hikers start running and absolutely just leave these two boys in the middle of the woods. They don't even attempt to get their cell phone. They don't even care about it. And they run all the way back down to the parking area and report it to the rangers and the officials. And when they go back up there, they find their phone, and it's completely like burnt out. It looks like it like had some sort of electrical fire or malfunction or something, and it's like melted. And but the creepy part is in the back of the phone where you would be holding it to your face is what looks like a small boy's handprint melted into it. And they never found those boys again, but they did notice that they had distinctly black eyes. And that was a pretty creepy story.
That is totally creepy. A good friend of this show, Jacob Rice, who's a paranormal investigator out of the state of Washington, he actually had a black-eyed kid story happen to him, where he was out with his dogs and he heard his dog barking at the fence. I'm paraphrasing the story here. And so he went up to the fence and saw this teenage boy standing in front of the fence, and he lives out in the boonies there, where they're in a rural area and you don't get a lot of foot traffic, let alone vehicle traffic driving by. And this kid kept asking him for his phone, and this is in the daylight, and his dogs just kept growling at this kid, which is not something normal that they do. And Jacob was like, well, why don't you just give me the number and I'll put my phone on speaker rather than putting my speaker through the fence. And, because thinking, well, this kid could run off with my phone, and, we'll call your mom or whatever. But the kid was just insistent. And then, so Jacob's like, well, I'm not going to do that. And the kid just started walking away. Well, this kind of bugged Jacob a little bit. He goes back inside to check his security cameras. He sees his dog barking at the fence. He sees himself talking to somebody at the fence, but the boy is not on the other side on camera.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, that would scare the daylights out of me.
It's stories like that make me want to get back into doing like a podcast to where I talk to people who have experiences like that, because I just love hearing those types of stories and just being like mind blown by it.
Right. I got to ask you, as we only got you for about another 7 minutes here, with all the darkness and the spookiness that you deal with, are you ever afraid of hitchhikers or tulpas or anything coming to your doorway and, spooking you out or haunting you?
I guess I wouldn't say I'm afraid of it. I'm mindful of it for sure. And I try to be respectful of those things, especially if they do come with, certain sets of beliefs, and, there should be rules or respect that is, paid due. But I'm not at all really living this life with fear. It's way too short, and, I could wake up. I might not wake up any day, so I just, preferably, I'd rather not see any of these things, but for the sense of experience and understanding, hopefully I do get to experience every single one of these strange anomalies.
No, what would you, the swamp dweller, like to experience?
Personally, I would definitely like to experience extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings. At least, I guess, in the sense that we understand them in that ET aspect, to where we can make contact and understand another intellectual race outside of our own on another planet or, plane or whatever. I feel like that would be the most valuable experience.
And why the aliens? Is it because it's just so beyond?
It solidifies the infinity of the universe to me. It solidifies that it's not just, say, a simulation, or it's not just, I don't know, it's this aspect of life that we understand because it's what we can see on the internet or what we can wrap our minds around because of the society or culture we live in. Like meeting aliens or interdimensional beings would kind of solidify that this understanding we have of the universe, the solar system, etc. It is actually an understanding of that, and it's not just, oh, we're just alive because we just so happen to be here at a time that another rock hit another rock or whatever.
Right. I want to ask you this as well, in regards to experiences, what have you seen? What have you experienced?
I've It's hard to say, but I've definitely experienced a lot of strange paranormal stuff. Shadow people, definitely seen some demonic stuff in my time. A lot of unexplained activity that in that end, energy, lots of energy. Um, I've seen energy manifest in front of me and physically move things and physically become things. Um, I felt like I have gone in. I've been in a building hundreds of years old, no air condition, hundreds of degrees, sweating my absolute tail off, and then it suddenly is freezing cold. I've been in those types of situations. I have been on back roads in deep woods, Tennessee, or Central Florida, where it's nothing but just fields and woods and swamps. And I've definitely seen the only thing I can describe as potentially a dogman or a werewolf. It's I can't really tell you much more than it just was running, across a field, and this thing was massive, and it just is a hulking shadow. And it could have been some guy in a suit, but considering that we're 45 miles in the middle of nowhere from the nearest real city, and it's just, cattle field everywhere, I was not very sure that's what I saw. And so I don't think I've ever seen Bigfoot, but I've definitely felt like I was in the presence of something that was much more human, but not very human at the same time than I guess I would have felt if I was being stalked by, say, something like a dog man.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. I've never encountered a dog man. Don't know if I want to. There's something about that dog man that just absolutely freaks me out. Absolutely freaks me out about that creature. With 2 minutes to go here, my friend, before we have to say goodnight to you, you know, out of every story that you have done, is there any stories that you will not touch, that you're like, you know what, I'm not going to go there? I just don't feel comfortable in doing that.
Generally, I feel like the only stuff I try not to touch on is like too much like sexual assault stuff or like stuff with children too much. Mainly just because I just feel like that's not something I'm personally interested in, and it makes me uncomfortable, so I don't wanna implement that and while it is a part of horror and true scary stuff, unfortunately does involve that type of stuff, I try to minimize it if I can, just so I understand, like, as we're here to be scared, but at the same time, it's also an escape.
Very true. And that's what we try and say around here. It is all about being part of an escape and allowing people to enjoy your programming, enjoy my programming, for the sake of being able to get away from, everyday life, where we are hammered from the time we get up until the time we go to bed. We are hammered and inundated with news that is just not constructive to the best of humanity. So I really commend you on what you do in allowing people to escape, my friend.
Definitely, and that's pretty much my main goal here is to hopefully be able to provide a daily escape for people to find a place for them to share their experiences, whether it's, with some creepy people or something they can't quite explain without feeling ridiculed. They can, be anonymous or share their name with the world. It's a fun community, and luckily everybody seems to be very accepting and very positive of just about everything that's shared there.
My friend, we got 20 seconds left. On behalf of all Spaced Out Radio listeners, I want to say thank you for everything that you do. You've helped us grow. You've helped us become bigger. You've promoted us. You know, we love it when we're able to play the Swamp Dweller at the top of hour number 3 each and every show. You are a true friend of Spaced Out Radio. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and all the best over the holidays.
Thank you so much, Dave, and right back at you.
All right, that's the Swamp Dweller. Now, coming up next in hour number 3, since we just had Swamp Dweller for 2 hours and a bunch of stories, we're going to get straight to the Cryptid Report with the birthday boy, Super Duke, from World Bigfoot Radio. Stay tuned. Hour number 3 of the Cryptid Report comes up next. It's going to be good. Great job, Swampy. Great job.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave.
Always appreciate you, my friend. And you know, I will, if you want to team up in Vegas with your followers and ours, I'm good with that, man. I'm good with that. I'll get a bigger room.
Yeah, definitely. We'll look into it, and I'll definitely get in touch with you very soon about that.
Sounds good, my man. Sounds good. I will let you go for now, but I really appreciate you coming on in for our fans, man.
All right, definitely. Have a great show, Dave.
All right, buddy. Take care. Grandizer, sorry, I just missed your question there. Swampy does believe Ouija boards are real. He used to play with one. I'll be right back, guys. I'm just going to step out for a minute. Hi, the unknown. How you doing? Hi, everyone. Hi, Sarah Yon. Welcome tonight.
Here's Tonight by
Oh, I didn't say Siri.
Sorry, there was a problem with Apple Music.
Oh, just, how about goodbye, Siri? Yeah, don't get me in trouble here. Why will that not turn off? Oh my gosh. Stop. Why will my phone not stop? There we go. Oh my goodness. Hi, Jedi. How you doing? And, the birthday boy is getting ready to come on here. Let's make sure we give Super Duke a warm birthday welcome when he comes on, because there's only one Super Duke out there, and we know who that is. Rain Wood, welcome to SOR Chat. How are you? Thank you tonight to Sally with the natural hat trick of super chats. Thomas, T2E, Atlantis, and Mike, thank you very much for the love and support of Spaced Out Radio. Here we go with the third and final hour, guys.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Haslock. Haslock is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Sharky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Usually at this time we head to the swamp, but because we just had Swamp Dweller on for the first couple of hours as our guest tonight, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We got Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio coming on in. And Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is on a natural high tonight. Why? Well, it's Super Duke's birthday today. He doesn't look a day over 40 years old, and we're glad to have him here. Super Duke, happy birthday on behalf of all of us at Spaced Out Radio and all of our listeners. You're a true friend of this show. You're a mentor of mine and many of our listeners out there. I hope you are having just a wonderful, wonderful day.
I have energy right now because copy mug number 2. Wonderful day, define wonderfulness. I got to spend the whole day all by myself, and it's been really kind of boring and low key, which for me is a really good thing because normal days have way too much drama and horror. So it's nice to have kind of some time off. And my evil slave driver boss even told me I could take half the day off until I had to be on your show. So that was kind of nice of him. So yeah, I've just been sitting around working on projects that I've been putting off for a long, long time, trying to get those finished today. And putting off the rest of the breakdown on clip 405 that I'm dreading working on. But no, no more PTSD today. Today I'm taking the day off.
Well, a bunch of our audience members wishing you a big happy birthday here in our chat room. So, Duke, you are a very, very special person to this show. And, we've been doing this for a while. You've been a fan of this show for a long time. And what you bring to us is absolutely awesome, my friend. It's absolutely awesome. And we're glad we could end your birthday with us because you just mean a lot to us, my friend.
I appreciate that, Dave. You know, we got a lot of crossover audience too. There's a lot of people that are regulars on my channel that are regulars on your channel now, and vice versa, which is really, really fun. So either of our shows are on the air. You got a lot of the same crowd hanging out in the chat room. They all know each other. They're all really nice, super amazing people. Many of them have their own encounters and stuff too. And I wanted to congratulate you, Dave, on, even though I've been razzing you for a while about how I was going to get to 20,000 before you, and I did. It didn't
Yes,
take
you
you
did.
very long to pass me up. And I anticipate that I will never be able to catch up to you at the rate you're going, because I'm only getting about 150 subs a month and you're blazing past me.
Oh,
So let me know
it's
how
been
that next
nuts.
ledge looks when you get up there. I'm going to say
It,
that it's probably going to look like really steep and the same thing.
you know what? It has been absolutely nuts the last week and a bit now. I mean, in the last 28 days, we've had 954 new subscribers.
Wow.
I mean, now for a lot of people who watch YouTube, who they see the channels like Mr. Beast or PewDiePie or Chris Ramsey or D Almighty or whoever, who are getting like 1,000 new subscribers plus a day. You know, I mean, a lot of people focus on the big channels when the majority of us out there are, hey, we're happy if we get 200-300 subscribers a month. I mean, that's a
And it's
decent
about,
month for us.
yeah, that's for damn sure. You know, I mean, I was frozen at 17,000 for 3 years. I didn't gain one damn subscriber, mysteriously. So it's nice when you can get any new subscribers to show up. And it's all about your engagement rate, too. I was watching a channel I've been watching for years. The other day, they got 164,000 subs. And their live stream, they didn't have any more people in their chat room than what I usually get on my pitiful little 20,000 sub channel.
See, channels like that, I wonder if they bought followers. I always wonder about that.
No, they used to be a lot more active than they are now. They're just being suppressed to hell, so nobody can find them anymore.
Right. Well, I can tell you this on our statistics as of right now, live, we are up 770 subscribers in December alone.
Nice.
And that's 13 days in. That's a 417% increase from the final 10 days of November.
Nice.
So I don't know what we're doing different, but people are starting to tune in and catch on.
Well, yeah, quick, figure it out, bottle it, and I'll buy some from you.
By the way, Christine is asking in the chat room, sing happy birthday to Duke, Dave. I did earlier.
He
just
did.
For the record.
And for the record, Dave is the only talk show host on earth that actually called me today just to sing happy birthday to me. That's what a nice guy Dave is. That's why I keep doing a show all the time, because Dave's a nice guy.
I appreciate that, man. Some people out there in the UFO world wouldn't believe you, but apparently...
No, it's true. Well, there's a lot of people in the Bigfoot world that'll tell you that I'm just a total cannot be said live on air. So, it all depends on your interaction with someone, if they like you or not.
Well, let's get under the love in and let's get into the cryptids, because that's what we have you here for. Normally you come in with a bunch of stories that you want to share with us, and you have a real creepy one that you're trying to figure out right now.
No, I got a bunch of creepy ones I'm always trying to figure out. This one is interesting. I thought I'd bring this one up because, first of all, it happened right here in Montana. And secondly, it closely parallels one of my experiences here in Montana. And I can't remember exactly when this other story happened. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell mine first. And mine was back about 4 years ago. And I was with my research partner, Michael. And he had his wife and all of his kids with him, which means we had like 4 kids there, including one that was 4 months old. There was a little papoose carrier that mom had on her. And we were going to go walk around the spooky ghost town of Coloma in December. Lots of snow up there in December. Well, we didn't get that much snow that year, so we managed to actually find the gate open so you could go up the road, hadn't been plowed, to the top of the mountain to where the deserted ghost town was, if you could make it there. Well, 4-wheel drives and snowmobiles were definitely making it there, but we didn't see more than one wheel track going up there. The rest of it was all snowmobiles, so I was kind of dubious to start with. And then we're in an Isuzu Axiom with bald tires. This made me more dubious. but I figured Mike knew what he was doing. We got up there all right, and we went walking all around there, and it was really deep snow and kind of spooky and really deserted. Really deserted. We were wading through snow up to our waist in a couple places. We looked like a friggin' mountaineering team from Mount Everest. We're like filming ourselves going up this 45 50 degree slope, wading through waist deep snow. And I'm like, Mike, why are we doing this again? So anyway, we finally got back over the ridge, went back down to the shack where the rest of the family had been waiting for us to get back and finish reconnoitering that area, and walked through thankfully we had already made a trail there to get up there, trail to go back down to the vehicle again. All was well. Then when we tried to get the vehicle out, it got stuck instantly, slid sideways into the ditch. No way to get it out. We tried and tried and tried every trick we could think. Finally, wife, kids, and Mike versus me. And I went, okay, you guys stay here with the vehicle and I will go get help. It's only 7 miles down the mountain to the nearest road. I'll make it. This is going to hurt. So I had my cane with me and I took off. It was about an hour before dark. And as I'm going down the mountain, it's getting darker and darker. And I don't have a gun. And it's getting darker and I don't have a flashlight. No, it's getting pretty dark. But there's some stars so I can see where the road is. So that's helpful. I'm going down the road in the dark and there's all kinds of snow. Then I start hearing something above me on my left-hand side following me. Uh-oh. And being Bigfoot researcher, I know that they will try and step at the same time that you step to cover up the sound of them stepping. So the best way to catch them doing it is to just keep walking at a regular cadence and then all of a sudden half step and don't step again. Just stop dead. And I did that, and sure enough, I heard crunch. Whatever it was, took that one extra step that I didn't take. Put my foot down, walked a little ways further, about another 100 yards or so, did the same thing. Heard crunch, crunch. Like, yep, definitely being paralleled. I'd be willing to bet, since it's December, that's a Sasquatch, not a grizzly bear or anything like that. And as long as he's following me down the mountain, he's probably just keeping an eye on me to make sure that I don't do something stupid like walk off a cliff or something like that. The ones from up here know me. I've been up here a bunch of times. He's probably just keeping an eye on me. So rather than being freaked out by it, it kind of like made me feel good. Oh, I got somebody with me, even though they're not walking next to me or something, they're walking with me. And there are mountain lions out in the winter. So having a big Sasquatch following me around means mountain lions aren't going to be showing up. So that made me feel better too, but it was still kind of creepy. And I could sense that energy from up there, and he's watching me the whole time. And this went on for about another half an hour. And finally I heard noises coming down the road, and here came 3 snowmobiles. So I stuck out my thumb to hitch a ride. And when they pulled over, I found out from them that they had just been up on top of the mountain and helped Mike and the family get the vehicle unstuck 3 times in order to get it turned around and get it going back down the hill again, and made sure they were actually going down the hill before they took off. So they were kind of expecting they might run into me, and they picked me up, gave me a ride the rest of the way down. So all's well that ends well there. After I was down at the bottom with them for about another half an hour, finally Mike made it down with the Axiom, and we all escaped happily. So north of me is Glacier Park. And Glacier Park has one of the most scenic spots, the Going to the Sun Road, where you go over Logan's Pass, and it's incredibly scenic and way up there and all that good stuff. So this young guy is like, I guess about 15 at the time, lives over there. He's heading back home. He gets right to the top of Logan's Pass, and his alternator on his truck gives out. And it's night. There's nobody up there driving around at night. They go up there during the day because they want to see the sights, and it's like scary, dangerous driving anyway. So they're people not driving around up there at night generally. So he goes, oh God, I'm going to have to walk all the way down the pass to get help. So he starts out, and sure enough, just like what happened to me, he picks up something following him, and he keeps hearing it. Now it's light enough that he can actually occasionally catch a glimpse of this huge black shadow following him. And this keeps going on for a while. And then finally he gets so panicked, he decides he's going to run, and he takes off running down this road as fast as he can for as long as he can go until he gets a stitch in his side and he can't run anymore. And then he's, kind of keels over for a minute, gets his breath, decides he just continue jogging at a more reasonable speed that he can maintain and try and get away from this thing. And no sooner does he start up again than he sees it ahead of him on the side of the road in the bushes watching him. So he decides that whatever this big predator is, he's going to scare it away from him so it quits following him. So as he goes past, he yells at it, "Ah!" as loud as he can. And then he picks up speed a little bit and he kind of turns his head back to make sure it's not following him. And then he hits the guardrail and goes over it. And this is like a 300 or 400-foot cliff. Wow.
That's not good.
Next thing you know, he's hitting a teeny ledge with 2 bushes sticking out of it that stops his fall, knocks the wind out of him. He finally gets his wind back and he realizes he's basically at the stuck on a cliff. There's no way down. If he falls off, he's dead. He's got to try and get back up to where the guardrail is about 15, 20 feet above him. And from what he can see, there doesn't look like any way he can do that. Then whatever it was that was following him sticks its head over the top of the guardrail and looks at him. And for a second, he's afraid it's going to try and climb down and get him. And then it just pulls its head back again. And he hears some movement. And it sticks its head over and looks at him again. And again, he has this fear that it's going to come get him or something. And then it pulls its head back again. Then he hears like rocks being moved around. Well, then there's no more noise or anything, and it isn't looking at him anymore. And he clings to the side of this cliff all night long, and he starts realizing that no one's going to see him there. There's no place from anywhere around there where anybody can see him on the side of that cliff. So unless he can actually scream loud enough for somebody going by in a car to hear him down there, he is completely screwed, because he's had enough time to scrutinize it by now to realize he can't climb up there by himself. So he's waiting and waiting and waiting. And as the sun's coming up, he hears a vehicle coming up the pass. And he's thinking to himself, okay, good. They're probably coming up here for sunrise. They want to see the sunrise on the pass. Somebody's coming up. Maybe they got their windows open. I'll save all my energy, and when they get close enough, I'll scream for help. And he's really kind of surprised when he realizes that the vehicle is slowing down as it's coming to the spot where he's at, and finally comes to a complete stop right above where he's at. And when he hears the door open, he screams for help with all of his lungs. And within a couple seconds, he sees the head of a forestry park ranger over the edge of the guardrail looking down at him, and reassures him to just hang on. We'll get you help here right away. And he says within 20 minutes, they had 2 mountaineers there rappelling down to him and putting him in a harness and dragging him back up again. And when he got back up there, he said, thank God you heard me and you stopped. And he goes, well, I couldn't go any further. There was these big boulders in the road here.
And how did those boulders get there?
Uh-huh. There'd been that goofy guy that kept looking over the top at him. Oh, this dumb human ran off the cliff. I better make sure somebody stops and helps them. I'll just pause some boulders in the road. They can't get through that, and they'll have to stop.
My goodness. My goodness. Could you imagine?
Yes.
Well, I know you could. I know you could.
I've been in that situation before, not with a Sasquatch watching me, but I got stuck. I was free climbing on a cliff over in Wisconsin, and it was in a narrow canyon, and you couldn't see the sky up above you, and they hadn't been predicting any rain or anything, so weren't expecting any fall conditions. And one of those freak thunderstorms came over while we were in the canyon. We were climbing up, and I was about 80 feet up, and it was one of these splits in the rock that comes together at a right angle, and there's a crack in there, so you can stick your fingers and your toes in there and work your way up that split in the rock. So I'm getting up toward the top of it, and all of a sudden this black cloud comes over and just lets fly. So guess where I am? I'm in the chute that's now like a downpour river pouring down on me, trying to wash me out of this crack, which was bad enough. So I'm wedging my fingers and toes in for all I'm worth, trying to keep from being washed off the face of this cliff and falling 80 feet to the nice jagged boulders below me. No, there's no dirt or anything. It's all jagged boulders. And then it picks up even more. It's like a gusher. And I have an additional problem that I can't breathe because there's so much water coming down. If I hold my head straight up like that, I would have drowned. I had to like tuck in as close as I could and put my head as close as I could down to my chest and try and breathe like from underneath my face, because everything else was like buckets coming down on you. And that went on for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then as it started to abate, I'm like, okay, now I'm exhausted. Am I going to try and climb down this wet thing? Or am I going to go the additional 15, 20 feet up to the top of this wet thing and hopefully, hopefully make it up there? Well, I decided to go up because I was getting really tired. And then the second problem came when I got the last 12 feet or so. At the top of this thing, it wasn't open. There was an overhanging rock. So you couldn't just go right to the top. You had to reach out and grab the edge of this rock, which is like about that far away for the people in the studio looking, and then let go with your other hand, swing back with your one arm holding you and grab on with the other hand before you fell 100 feet onto the rocks. And then you have to be able to do a pull up and push yourself over the top of it. And it's wet now, remember? So yeah, I've been in really bad situations before.
Yeah, I'm not going there. I am not going there. That's just eerie. It's just eerie. You know, it's amazing how smooth a hillside looks looking down, but when you are in that hillside and you look up, it's amazing how much different it looks.
Yeah, this was completely vertical. It was a shoot in the rock. There was no slope whatsoever. If anything, it was going like that, not straight up. So yeah, that was creepy. That was our practice spot for extreme mountaineering because you can do all the same things. It's just a limited area. You can't do anything more than like 100 feet because that's as high as it gets on any of the things they had there. But the next time I went to that spot and it wasn't raining, me and my brother, who was in the Marine Corps, both climbed up that thing. He got to the top first and went over the top. And there was somebody up there and they went, "Where did you come from?" And I could hear him going, "From right here," because I'm like under the rock below him. And the guy leans over the rock and looks and he goes, "There's nothing down there." And he goes, "Yeah, my brother's down there. Get out of the way. He's coming up." And then I go, "Boop." My hand goes up right in between his 2 feet. And he steps back. My other hand comes up and I, pull myself over the edge and he's looking down again. "There's nothing down there. Where did you guys come from?" Well, what we didn't realize is that the university had their actual mountaineering team right around the corner from us with all the ropes and the pitons and the safety equipment and stuff, practicing on a different face than we were on. And like, we're just free climbing it. No, we're doing the insane free climbing. We don't use any equipment.
No, just go for it. Bare knuckled.
Yeah. You're never going to be able to catch Bigfoot if you have to stop and keep putting equipment in the mountain all the time.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Is this, as we got about 90 seconds to go, is this one of the more dangerous spots where you've gone looking for the creature?
Which one?
The one you were just talking about?
Oh, well, that area, no, that was all just climbing fun area. They are there. I was there in the winter walking around looking for them one time too. And there's a campground near there. And bizarrely enough, the camping spot that's like almost always deserted because it's too close to the little dinky town there, which means like about half a block away. There's a lot of activity on that campsite. And I noticed that the second time I was down there. So I started trying to always take that campsite way out there, too close to town, right next to the river, because they were coming through there, pillaging the campsite, swiping food, and then going over to the main dumpster and getting food out of that. And then they'd walk back through right down by the river at the base of the campsite I was on. So it didn't take me very long to. Then I started pestering them because I knew they were there. So I started looking for them. So, and they were probably following me around, watching me do all this stupid climbing stuff too.
Gee whiz. Here they are following old Super Duke, knowing that there's a legend in their midst.
Legendarily insane and foolish. Somehow keeps surviving it.
Works for me, man. Works for me. That's all I gotta say. Duke, you hold on. We got you for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio with the Cryptid Report. We'll try and get to some news as well near the back end of this next half hour. The Cryptid Report with the birthday boy, Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. We'll get into more strange stories about the big cryptid creatures, the big hairy brawlers, the champions of hide and seek. The Cryptid Report continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Hi, Mickle Pickle Toes in the chat room. How you doing? Oh yeah, there he is. My feet are quite meaty. Yeah, old meaty toes would have a heyday with you right now. Throw a little barbecue sauce on there with a nice blended garlic and onion. Oh,
Super Duke's going to go have part of a super sig, but when I get back, there's
oh yeah.
good question on there from Penny. The answer to which is yes, and I got a cool story from the Boundary Waters too.
All right. We'll save that question. Good old Mickle Pickle Toes. That is Mick from Australia, I have to tell you. He is a dude who literally makes me laugh every day on Twitter. Every day on Twitter. And he is one sick son of a gun, but my God, does he make me laugh. And I appreciate that, Mick. Thank you so much. And much love, buddy. Much love. Mickle Toes, you got to get over from Australia to Las Vegas for our Vegas fan party, May 19th through 21st. We need you there. We need you walking barefoot through the casino. Show off your corns and bunions, buddy. Oh, look who it is. It's Eli McInnes. And then Meaty Toes has arrived. Oh my God, what do we need to do tonight? Not only do we have Swamp Dweller, it's Duke's birthday, 11-year anniversary of my weirdness starting, but now we got Meaty Toes and Mickle Pickle Toes all in the same room. Holy cow. Hey, Grantavius Maximus, how you doing? Vash the Impaler, you should come celebrate. You're turning 30 on the 19th. I'm turning 50 on the 24th. My God, I'm 20 years older than you. You should come down to Vegas and support it with us, man. Let's see. Now I got to go to Twitter and see if Pickle Toes has posted anything. Nope. I'm surprised. Penny Van, Penny Van. I am Pam, Penny Van. It's going to be a bunion bonanza when you arrive there, Meaty Toes, in Las Vegas. Pretty soon, for those of you who aren't going to be attending, we are going to get you to send an email out to info@spacedoutradio.com. See how many of you are going. So that way we could start building our numbers. We'll probably start that at the beginning of January. Oh, Vash the Impaler lives in Vegas, so he'll be going for his 30th birthday. Vash the Impaler, Vash the Impaler. I am Pam, Vash the Impaler. There we go. No, I haven't made an I am Pam t-shirt yet. Well, there's Big Tex, all the way from Texas. His hobbies are hunting, fishing, looking for Sasquatch, and he prefers macrame over straight knitting.
Never be a nitwit.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, that's one thing I heard about Nicholas Shaughnessy, is he can crochet like a mofo.
Should I go ahead and answer Penny's question, or you want me to save it?
No, I'll get it. I've got it saved here.
The free climbing and almost getting washed off the cliff face story is one of the, near as I can recall, about 22 times that I should have been dead and somehow survived it. So this gives you this feeling that you're probably not going to get killed even if you do something really stupid after a while. So it encourages you to do stupid things. So that's not a good thing.
I can see that. Hey, big thank you tonight to Lavira, Sally ×3, Mike, Atlantis, T2E, and Thomas for the super chats. We're going to get going here with the final half hour right now. Round and third, we're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Sharky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with the Cryptid Report with the birthday boy, Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. Happy birthday, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me here. It's always fun hanging out with you and the awesome gang here on Spaced Out Radio.
All right, let's get to a quick question from Penny Van, who is asking, Duke, have you ever been up to the Boundary Waters area in Wisconsin?
I'm not sure that there is one in Wisconsin. I assume you're talking about Minnesota, Boundary Waters Canoe area, because Minnesota's northern border bounders Superior, Lake Superior. So I'm assuming you're talking Minnesota, and the answer to that is yes. BWCA is ginormous. There really aren't that much in the way of roads into it, and that's why it's the canoe area, because it tons and tons and tons and tons of little lakes and short portages in between, most of which are not well kept up, some of which are theoretical. You look at it on a map and go, there's a portage here. When you get there, no. Maybe there was a few years ago. Got your machete? So that's lots of fun, especially for people that plan really long canoeing trips up there. And I spent one trip up there with a couple of friends that were just there fishing, and we drove in as far as you could drive in and then set up because they just wanted to fish the, whatever nearby lake there was. And they had a great time. They caught all kinds of fish. And I just hung around camp and caught up on a book I wanted to read and cooked for them. So I had a fun time too. But, they were out there getting rained on, catching fish. They were having fun. So anyway, horrible ending to this story where they managed to, since it rained the whole time we were there, the areas that we drove through on the way in that were nice and dry were now ditches filled with water. And they managed to crash the truck into one of them and stall it out in the middle of one of them. And so I had to walk 18 miles out to the nearest road to flag down help. That wasn't fun. But anyway, a couple years before that, one of my friends was up there with his buddies that were much more well prepared, and they actually were doing the canoe trip and portaging from lake to lake. And they were about 3 days out there, and they had just done this brutal portage that was about a half a mile in between these two lakes. And it actually was a navigable pass, so they didn't have to guess where it came out or anything. And it came down this nice little decline that went to a little sandy beach right on the edge of this lake. So they went, well, this is a perfect place to put the camp. Beautiful. Wake up in the morning, go for a swim, whatever, pack up everything, canoe on to the next lakes. So they set up their tents right there. So in the middle of the night, they start hearing this noise. They haven't gone to sleep yet. They're in the tents, but they haven't gone to sleep yet. And you hear this thwap, 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 thwap. Something with gigantic, heavy, flat feet, bipedal, running down the trail in their direction toward their camp. And it's going really fast, and it doesn't slow down at all. When it gets right parallel to their camp, it apparently dives into the lake because they didn't hear any more footsteps. They just heard a giant splash and something swimming. And by the time one of them unzipped the tent and got out with their feeble flashlight to see what it was, all they could see was ripples on the water. But none of these guys believed in Bigfoot or anything. But after that, he said, whatever that was, it was huge. It was on two legs. It wasn't using a flashlight or anything. It came running down, at 11 o'clock at night. just tearing butt down this trail in the dark and ran right past our camp and dove in the lake.
Just going for a midnight swim.
Sure. It was in a
That's
big
it.
hurry to go somewhere. Probably said, oh, there's humans down there. I'll just screw it. I'll just run past them and dive in the lake. They won't see me.
I wonder if there was a cannonball.
They said whatever it was epic splash. And that was the other thing, too. The sound of the feet impacting and how fast it was going by and how far apart they were really freaked them out. Because, whatever it was huge. And they couldn't find any marks the next day because it was all, tree roots and granite coming down to the very edge of where there was this little sandy spot that they camped on. And apparently it just jumped right over that and hit the water. So there's no tracks there either.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That's pretty impressive. Duke, out of all the encounters that you have had over the years, okay, at any time have you felt like your life was being threatened?
The very first encounter I had when I was sledding, whatever that thing was, did not look friendly. Gave off the aspect of hostile predator that was about to eat your face off and or other parts. So, yeah, I mean, seeing one face to face, realizing it's there and feeling threatened by it, no. I've had a few of them I've seen, got picture video of them, and then there's a lot more that I find in video after the fact. And I think probably the scaredest one is when it's in the video surrounded by Sasquatch, where me and Mike were walking out to an area we had never been to before. There was this, well, actually, this goes back to Kevin Lang from the Glag Saga, because when he was up there, he found this area, right? There's 2 tree snaps on one side of the road. And he went, wait, stop. Let's check the other side of the road. Those are markers. So he went over there and he promptly found one of the biggest arches we've ever seen. And an upside down axe where they had ripped out 2 trees and had both of them into an axe with the roots upward, which really doesn't happen in nature, and some other stuff over there. So we decided we should go there and canvass the area and see what else we could find. And we walked all the way down to the end of it without realizing that we were getting them on video the whole time, too. There's a bunch of them in there. Robin pulled them out. One of them's actually just laying next to a tree about 30 feet away, watching us, examining how this snapped off tree top has somehow come to rest on the same place it's snapped completely off from. That doesn't make any sense. She's in the background on the video. We never even noticed her. Then we kept walking out to the end of the point. We get out there and it just kind of peters out. There was like a road there. At one time, they must have had a logging road or something. But the further you went down the edge of this little ridge, it just kind of petered out to nothing. And then down below that's this beautiful open glade, and there's this river right next to it on the right hand side, and a little bit beyond it, about a couple hundred yards away, there's another ridge starts up, and it looks like to the left of it goes into some more low forest, and we know over on that side of the ridge there's this big giant open wet meadow, so it must go over there. So as we come down, the next thing we see is there's this game path there. And this is, Dave, the most impressive game path I have ever seen, because they do not have cattle up in this valley, but it looks exactly like a cow path. It's just same width. It's beaten about 3 or 4 inches into the ground. And then there's other animal tracks in it. So this has been like used for years and years and years and years. Elk, moose, everything. Right away, I see huge moose tracks in it. So I'm all fascinated. Oh, look at that. Moose tracks the size of my foot. Cool. Let's follow the moose tracks and film them for a while. So I'm being stupid, not watching what's around me. I'm watching the view screen on the camera, and I'm filming the moose track going down this incredibly well-beaten path. And I finally get out in this little open area, and I realize, A, Mike isn't with me anymore. He's still behind me somewhere looking at something over there. And B, I'm getting this really creepy feeling that lots of eyes are watching me. So I go out into this open area, and while I'm standing there, I just casually pan around with my camera. I'm not actually seeing anything, but in case there's something there, pan around to the camera, you might get it on camera. So then I turn the camera off. Mike finally shows up, and he goes, well, it looks like this path just goes through that little choke point in the trees right. Do you want to go that way? And I'm like, no, we are not going to go that way. We're going to go back exactly the way we came. No, we're not going through there, because I had a premonition that this is this well-used game trail. There's the choke point. Guess who's sitting there? Maybe they're not happy we're interrupting something. So turned around and went back again. Well, it was about 3 weeks later after I had put this out on video. Actually, one of the people that's done research in my area, Shane, who lives over in Spokane, looked at it and went, Duke, at timestamp 4548, I think you've got one leaning sideways trying to pretend he's the trunk of a tree. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll go take a look at it. And look at it. Sure enough, he's right. There's one standing right there, profile, trying to pretend he's the trunk of the tree that he's standing in front of. And there's another one over his shoulder with a brown head. You can see his hair and his two eyes peeking over the top of his head looking at me. And I'm like, well, that's pretty disturbing. That's probably who I was feeling watching me when I was there. So I started going through the video, and I literally gave myself PTSD for like 3 days because there were so many of them in there. And I sent the video to Robin, and I went, what do you see in this video? And she circled every damn one of them that I saw and several that I missed and sent it back. And I went, oh my God. Well, and the capper, the cherry on the icing on this frigid cake of death was that standing in between two of the Sasquatch and peeking around a tree was a dog man. And you could clearly see the side of his face. There's this tree's got this little bend in it, and he's sticking his head around like that. You can see his whole snout. You can see one of his eyes. He's looking right at me, and this side of him, there's a Sasquatch. On that side of him, there's a Sasquatch. So I was like, yeah, good instinct to not walk through that choke point right there. But again, if they wanted to jump me, they sure could have. They weren't very far away. But, you know, again, this is called a precautionary video. In case you think something's about to kill you, start filming. Because then at least maybe somebody will find the camera and figure out what killed you at some point.
Well, that is the key. I mean, you know, that's why a lot of people, when they go up into the grizzly territories of Alaska, they're always filming. They're always filming.
Yep. Recently, there was a great video on subarctic Alaska Sasquatch, where somebody had been doing a survey job, and they had flown in by helicopter because this is Alaska. There's no roads there. And somebody had already staked out this area, and there was a big field, and he had his stake there that had his claim written on it and everything. And the guy's job was to just go verify it's still there. Nobody's raping his land, taking his gold away or whatever, I guess, in the middle of freaking nowhere. He has to literally fly in with a helicopter to get there, okay? So he starts the video. He's filming the little claim stake. There's your stake. It's still there. There's the field. There's nothing there. Everything's the same. There's my copter with the blade still spinning. And I'm done. Turns the video off. What he doesn't realize is that while he's filming, on the far side of the field, standing in these small pine trees, is this ginormous Sasquatch. He's like 15, 20 feet tall, watching him. Apparently, he passes for a huge tree that's standing in this other small group of trees. And so he never noticed it until, you know, after the fact, he looked at it and went, what was that? Got all freaked out by it, you know. And Fred did a good job in enhancing it so you could see it a little bit better. Now, within about like 4 or 5 days of him putting that up, all of a sudden that episode's removed. So did he get heat from the guy that he didn't have enough permission to use it, or, you know, some other hokey doke stuff happened? And this recently happened to Kelly Shaw, where he got video from natives on this one tribe where they had been out horseback riding, and there was a Bigfoot popped up out of the woods and looked at him and then ducked back down again. They got it on video. And then one of the horses spooked and ran away. And at the time, they didn't notice the Bigfoot there. Well, when Kelly was looking at it, I was looking at it too. And I go, there's another one right next to him. All he does is peek his head up and then pop it back down again. So there was at least 2 of them there. And there could have been a third one up front too, because of the shadow we were looking at in the woods that was moving around. So he's got this up, and it starts making a huge stir, and everybody's trying to contact the guy that filmed the video, and they're all excited and everything. And he's just like, oh, it's turning my life into a wreck. Take it down, Kelly, take it down. And Kelly's like, well, wait, you told me I could put it up, and now you want me to take it down? Make up your damn mind, you know?
Right. That's exactly it. Super Duke, do you want to go the distance, or do you want to go just a couple more minutes? It's up to you, my friend.
Yeah, I want to veg out after I get done with you. I got another little project that I still need to finish here tonight, but yeah, it's been fun hanging out with you guys for an hour. Is there anything else we need to cover? Was there any more questions?
I think we're good, buddy. I think
Sweet.
We're good tonight.
One of these times I should just go through my list of all my near brushes with death that I absolutely should have been killed by and somehow miraculously survived. That same area where I almost got washed off the cliff, on the next rock face over from it, I almost got killed on that one too. It's a big talus slope. And if you know what that is, it's the broken rocks that have fallen off of the upper parts of the slope, make this big line of boulders progressively getting thicker as they're going down. So you have to clamber up all of these boulders to get to the edge of the cliff, to climb straight up the cliff. So part of the danger is crawling through all the boulders that they're not placed there by humans. It could be rather precarious, let's just say. So what you're trying to do is step on ones that look really firmly positioned, or ones that are so heavy that your body weight can't disturb them. So I make a bad call on this one, which is had to be at least 5-6 feet across, and it looked like it was sitting in a good position. And my pitiful little weight isn't going to move it. Wrong. As soon as I reached up and I tried to pull my body weight up on it, it started to roll toward me. And I'm like, uh-oh. If I jump off to this side, I'm going to break my leg. If I jump off to that side, I'm going to break my leg. If I don't jump off, it's going to squash me. So my only option is climb this boulder faster than it's rolling downhill, which I managed to do. I was doing the dog thing, like, and I only had to do that about 3 times, and the boulder was past my legs and went down the hill, and I was flat on my stomach going, wow, that really sucked. And I can hear the boulder behind me going, waboom, waboom, smash. And there's this huge echo because there's this canyon down there in between these 2 rock faces. And I'm like, well, at least I'm not squished, and there's nobody down there with me. I'm just solo. So I get up to the edge of the cliff, and the cliff up is only about 50 feet, so no big deal. Climb up to the top of it, and as I come over the top, there's a ranger and 2 people there going, where did you come from? I came up from down there. Did you hear that huge boulder smash? Yeah, it moved when I was climbing up. Well, what are you doing down there? It's posted right here, no climbing down in the valley. And I said, well, it's not posted down there in the valley where I climbed up from. Maybe you should mark things a little better.
They didn't know who they were dealing with.
Yeah,
they got the full wrath of Super Duke right there.
There's a walking path down there, bonehead. If you don't want people to try climb up this, maybe you should put up a sign that says, don't try climb up this.
Right? I get it all the time.
It's at the top. I mean, come on. At the top, you're already safe. What's the danger? You put it at the bottom so they don't try it, right?
Apparently so. Gee whiz. Super Duke, we're going to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a happy birthday to you today, my friend. And we'll let you get off on your own little journey here.
Love you guys. I'll probably hang out for the rest of the show. I got this painting project that's endless, and I'm just so sick of it. I want to finish it tonight. But I love you guys, and I'll see you again in a couple days.
Absolutely. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio on YouTube. Make sure you go hit subscribe on his channel on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, and any fine bingo parlor around the Montana, Idaho area. That's why we love him around here. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. Let's get over to Sharky Poo's news.
What time is it?
It's time for Sharky Poo's news.
All right, let's get right to it tonight. The World Cup, thankfully, only comes around once every 4 years. Wish it was more like once every 100 years. So some sports fans forgot what real soccer actually looks like, if there is such a thing. Yep, maybe video game graphics have really come a long way in recent years. How else to explain reports that thousands of people believe they were watching the iconic sporting event, but were actually viewing replays from the soccer video game FIFA 23? Or maybe they just were desperate to find a way anyway to tune in for free. Seems like that's the actual reason. A report coming out says over 40,000 people in France alone watched the video game broadcast on YouTube channels, thinking it was the real thing. They were lured in by promises offering live streams. One report even said some of the streams had commentary of the action. A Vietnamese language stream was specifically mentioned. According to reports, a Vietnamese outlet, YouTubers can make thousands of dollars by luring viewers with this trick. They use poor quality images, so viewers think they're just getting a low quality stream. Actually, video games. A North Carolina woman has had an unbelievably lucky day recently. Brenda Hernandez, 28-year-old mom in North Carolina, won $100,000 through the state lottery on the same day she gave birth to a baby girl. The report said she found out later that night that her Powerball ticket had won her the prize. The housekeeper had purchased a $3 ticket. She initially won $50,000, but the 2S Power Play multiplier doubled the win. I feel like she's brought me good luck, my little girl, and I am so thankful, she says. Pepsi can mix well with a lot of other drinks, but this ain't one of them. The soda pop maker's new holiday campaign aims to get people to mix Pepsi with milk. Yeah, they're calling it Pilk. Pilk and cookies. If the hashtag Pilk and cookies is used on social media between now and December 25th, users can win a cash prize. Combining Pepsi and milk has long been a secret hack among Pepsi fans. Todd Kaplan, Pepsi's chief marketing officer, said in a release. Apparently, it's also a trend on TikTok called Dirty Soda. Pepsi is using Lindsay Lohan as part of its campaign. Wow, they picked a winner there, didn't they? And let's see, what else do we have here for you tonight? There are a lot of ways a roommate can be a bad one. That can include being extremely smelly. Body odor became so much of an issue for one woman that she got her roommate evicted for not bathing for months. The woman said her roommate displayed zero respect for personal hygiene when living together. We've been living together for 4 months. I can't stand living with her anymore. She doesn't shower. In 4 months, she hasn't showered once. However, she goes for a 2-hour run every morning. I can't stand the smell anymore. Makes me sick to my stomach. That is gross. Ugh. Take a shower. Use a nice loofah with some body soap. Feels great. Feels absolutely great. Just try it on out. Thank you to everyone tuning in tonight, including our special guest. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Excuse me, special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight, YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
make a mistake. We're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Good show, people. Give yourself a clap and a round of applause. You guys all did well tonight. Just throwing it out there. Where am I here? Yeah, you never go wrong with giving yourself a round of applause. Everybody should clap every now and again. I'm actually going to try and clean up the studio. Now that all the construction's done in here, I'm going to try and clean up the studio this weekend, Great show, Super Duke. Jordan Ashley Pettit's like, 4 months without a shower. I can do 6, no problem. Super Duke, Super Duke. He's a birthday boy, Super Duke. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do-do-do, do-do-do. Ain't that right there, Super Duke? He's like, damn right. You were damn right. I feel like minging if I miss a day. Careful. Minging can be dangerous. Stephen Finnegan, how you doing, buddy? Stephen Finnegan needs to come over from the UK for our Vegas party. Jordan Ashley Pettit needs to come to Vegas for our Vegas party. Jordan's going to be like, well, I would love to, but I can't. I have a hair appointment that weekend. It's the one weekend a month I'm always doing my hair. What weekend is that? Oh, the Spaced Out Radio Party weekend. Oh, Ming like ring. I thought you said minge. Who else can I bug? You can do it, Jordan. You can do it. You and hubby, come on down. Hang out with us. Asimov needs to come to Vegas. Mark Winterwolf needs to join us in Vegas. Bombshell Bomber needs to come to Vegas. Bombshell, you come to Vegas, I will give you this jacket. I will present you this jacket there. What's more fun, an African safari or hanging out with us in Vegas? I got to admit, I'd take the safari. I would. John's doing good. Super Duke, coming to Vegas. Super Duke. Super Duke. Coming to Vegas. Am I an old headbanger? No. What's happening with my neck right now is I haven't been working out properly in a while and I'm slouching, and this jacket pushes on the back of my neck and it actually gets sore. So that's the reason why. because I'm slouching to get to the microphone. And I got to stop slouching. I got to make the microphone do the work and not me. Steven, are you going to Kroger National Park? Or Kruger National Park? Asimov, you should make it. Jessica is going to be there. See, Jessica's pretty similar. All the animals going to be in Vegas. Did you do that one? I did. Yes. Hey, Corey Cole. How you doing, buddy? Corey Cole. Dave, did you know that slouching forward can cause more than back and neck damage, but lungs, heart, and nerves? Yes. I am trying, Pam Smith. I am trying. Right now, I'd go as a hippopotamus. No problem, Jorgen Johansson. You look great on left wing tonight, buddy. Wearing Peter Forsberg's old number 21. Okay, a back brave. What's a back brave? Oh, back brace. No, Dave needs a good chiropractor visit and a massage. That's what Dave needs. Hi, Pono. How you doing? Mainly, it's been a while since I've been to the chiropractor. So, time to go back. Part's done. Oh, very cool. Speaking of ostriches, let's go to Namibia. Look at all the babies. They literally just hatched. Oh my. Look at all the babies. They just hatched. Look at them all. How cool is that? No, babies, don't leave. Noble Patrick. Good to always have the noble one here. Super cute from Super Duke. I'll be right back, guys. right, the ostriches are gone. The oryx have moved in. And give me 2 seconds here, guys. No, do not remove those. What are you doing, Dave? I need that. That would have been dangerous. Now we can remove them. And put the next ones in. All right. Let's get back there. Well, let's try another channel while we're here. Let's see what's happening at the Kahari. We got wildebeest, we got springboks, we got oryx. Kind of boring. I don't like that camera angle. See what's happening at the watering hole here. We got wildebeest, zebras in the background, a couple elephants back there. That's pretty cool. Oh no, those aren't zebras. The hell are those? Those kudu? I don't know. This camera never zooms in. Never. It's kind of boring that way. I don't like this one. What else we got here? Let's go to THAL. What's happening here? Oh, we're panning. Oh, yay. Let us pan. Extra slow so we can't see anything. Yeah, you're boring. Let's go to Tembe. Oh, we got an elephant there. Having some fun in the mud. The signal is slow there. Oh, where else are we going? We been there? Yeah, we were there already. Damn it. Where else are we going here? Let's try this one. Couple of birds over there. What are those? Are those cassowaries? The hell are those? Oh, they're pretty big though. Nothing else there though. Boring. Oh, where else are we going to go here? Let's take a peek. Kruger going to show up for us? They're panning. I've never seen this angle before. It's a new one. But the camera sucks, so... where are we going now? Oliphant's River. Has it gone down? No, still way up there. That's something there. What is that? I don't know what the hell that is right there. Oh, it's like a deer or something like that. Hey, Gong Show. How you doing, buddy? This is boring. We got nothing here. Where's Rosie's pan? What's this one? A commercial. Look at that. Free advertising. Oh, a bunch of kudu running around, eating away there. Oh, yeah, the Naledi Dam. It's where we saw the giraffe the other night and the elephants. Gong Show's coming to Vegas. All right, let's go to Rosie's pan. What do we got going on here? I think the hippo left. I really do think the hippo left. I remember watching on this branch right here, on the right there, if you see my cursor, there was like a giant python lying on there. And one day a hornbill came down from this branch up here and flew and landed on the snake. The snake grabbed it and ate it right on the camera. That was kind of cool. Oh, bear with me 1 second here. Tomorrow night on the show, Science Bob and Friends, we are going to have special guest Cheryl Costa coming in to talk about her statistics for year 2022, which is going to be great. Excuse me. Nothing happening at Rosie's pan. Yeah, I think the hippo's gone. That's disappointing. What's this nomad cam? What's this one? Right after the Domino's commercial. Hold on. Oh, I hate it when it goes to ads 1 and 2. Oh, look at her hair. Isn't that nice? Well, that's a different angle. We've never seen that one before. Guaranteed hippos and crocodiles in there. You don't want to swim there. Kambaku? What's this one? Look at this. We're finding all these new ones tonight. Nothing here, but that's actually kind of a cool place. Nice to see no tree over 6 foot tall there. Let's go back to the dam and see what they're... Oh. That's what we're zooming in on today. Oh, my neck is sore. Come on, bring us something. I'd like to go to that F1 event next year too, Pono. That looks amazing. All right, everyone. We're going to say good night to all of you tonight as we prepare for Science Bob and Cheryl Costa tomorrow night on Science Bob and Friends. Big thank you tonight to Mr. Swamp Dweller for coming on in and being a good sport with us tonight. I got to get going because I have to reboot my computers. There's a Microsoft update that needs doing. So thank you to our super chatters tonight, Mike, Atlantis, T2E, Thomas, Sally ×3, and Lavira. Really helps out what we're doing. Much love to all of you, and we will talk to you all tomorrow night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.